some of the fish.
How many fish were there?
There's approximately 25 fish.
Should Dad be on the hook?
What did you do with the fish?
I don't care about the fish. I threw them in the toilet.
Mr. Wolf, you may think it's okay. I don't.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Dustin Wolf is suing his father, John Wolf, for destroying his fish tank and killing his fish in a drunken rage.
Order. All rise.
It's case number 214 on the calendar, the matter of Wolf versus Wolf.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Wolf, this is your father. And I gather from your papers that you were a tenant of your father's in a home that he owns.
Yes.
He has a property that has a second house on it because the two houses are relatively close to each other. When you moved into your father's home as a tenant, you brought with you a very large freshwater fish tank.
Yes.
And at some time subsequent to moving in, you woke up in the morning and rather than doing what most normal people would do, which is to resolve that problem, you left to go to work. Before you left to go to work, you called your girlfriend, I assume that this is girlfriend.
Yes.
Who does not live with you.
No.
And you said, come over to watch my leaky fish tank and see what you can do to keep the mess to a minimum.
I actually prepared stuff around it to keep it from causing any damage. I put towels down and some stuff down before I left.
But clearly, based upon your complaint, the towels that you put around were insufficient to keep the water inside the fish tank because girlfriend, according to your complaint, soon ran out of
Towels.
Towels.
That was much later in the day.
That's what she says. Towels. She finished the sentence. So when girlfriend, you can stand up, ran out of towels, she ran next door to your father's house looking for towels.
Yes.
How many towels had you used up before you went over to Mr. Wolf's house for assistance?
Well, this was earlier in the day, in the morning this happened. I got out of work at 5 o'clock. He said, can you, keep an eye on it? When I got there...
Oh, just a minute. I wasn't thinking along those lines. So this happened when you got up to go to work.
Yes.
You noticed this. And you didn't come over until 5 o'clock?
That's when I got out of work.
Just a second.
Yes.
That's my question. You got out of work at 5.
Yes.
So what time did you get to his house?
5:15.
Okay. And what time had you left for work in the morning, Mr. Wolf?
At 7.
So from 7 a.m. to 5:15, it was still leaking. Ms. Ramsick.
It was dripping, yes.
It was dripping. Now, how many towels had your boyfriend put around the tank?
I think about 5.
And when you got there, were all the towels saturated?
Not at the moment, no.
Well, if they weren't saturated, why did you go over to Mr. Wolf's house?
I had said earlier when I had gotten there, I said a little bit later I might need to borrow more towels.
You said to who?
Mr. Wolf.
The defendant?
Yes.
You mean you saw him when you got there?
I didn't see him when I got there. It was maybe about 6 o'clock or something because Sheila was cooking and, we usually...
Ms. Ramsick, listen to me carefully. You got there and you didn't see him at 5:15. You didn't see the defendant.
No, I was in the house.
And what was it that prompted you to go over to his father's house?
I needed help. I didn't...
You needed help because it looked as if it was becoming a more serious situation.
Correct.
Okay. Now, had you used any more towels or any others in his house?
Yes, and he didn't have any.
So he had used up all the towels he had before he left for work?
Yeah, those were the only towels he had.
So now this is your complaint, which Miss Ramsick is going to tell me about because she was there and you were there part of the time.
Yeah.
When you went over to his house, what did you say to him?
I asked if I could borrow some towels.
And he said?
And Sheila said that he might have extra towels that I can use, and then I
Just a second.
asked.
You mean they didn't ask you what for?
They knew earlier in the day that the fish tank was leaking.
How do you know what they knew?
If I needed to ask for towels because...
No, how did you know what they knew? He didn't say he told his father. He said he called you to take care of it. What he said was, I called my girlfriend to take care of it because I had to go to work. I actually thought you went right over there, but clearly you didn't go over for a long time. I want you to tell me what makes you believe that Mr. Wolf Sr. knew what the problem was?
Because I had told him about it.
At what time?
Earlier, when I had gone over there around 6 p.m.
At 6 o'clock. So it was after you saw that you were in trouble. I asked you just what happened. You went to his door, you knocked on the door, and you said to him what?
Well, he wasn't home at the time when I had gotten home. So when I had gotten there later and I said I might need it and I might need towels to clean it up.
And
later, you know, we were all just sitting around, and later
who was all sitting around?
Sheila, Mr. Wolf, and the two neighbors.
And you?
And me.
So you were in their house?
We were outside of their house.
They hadn't gone in to see the fish tank?
No.
Okay, and then what happened?
I decided to go back and check on the fish tank around 9 p.m.
So you went there at 6, and then you schmoozed with them until 9. And when you got back to look at the fish tank, what did you find?
It was dripping, and I needed new towels because, I mean, they were.
Where was your boyfriend?
Damp.
He left at 7 o'clock in the morning.
He was working a storm job, so he had to work overtime.
Okay. So then at 9 o'clock, you go back and look at the fish tank, and by this time it's pretty saturated. And you look, and there are no more towels in the house. So then you went back to Mr. Wolf Sr.'s house.
Yes.
And?
I asked him for some towels, and Sheila said, Wolf, why don't you go over and help Ashley? Because at that point, you know, the fish tank was just dripping, and I needed to...
It's been 12 hours
Yes.
already of just dripping.
But, I mean, I'm just trying to say that it wasn't like spraying all over the place, you know. It was a
It
light...
was a leak.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So at a point where it wasn't at the hole...
There was a hole in the tank?
It was a pin...
It was like a pin prick.
A pin
and I
prick.
put tape over to keep it from spraying, so it was just dripping down the side of the tank.
So he came over.
He came over.
And what did he do?
And I gave him a hose to empty the tank.
You gave him a hose, or he asked you for a hose?
He asked me for a hose, and I gave him the hose.
So he came over and asked you for a hose because
Well,
he was going to siphon it, something that you could have done. I mean, this is, right?
I mean, I didn't
know how to
know.
do it.
Yes.
So he said, get me a hose and I'll siphon off the water. And?
He got really upset when...
No, just a second.
Okay.
Careful with me.
Okay.
Did he put the hose in the tank?
After he threw the water filter at the wall and threw everything off the top of the tank onto Dustin's bed.
I don't care about that. What I care about, did he put the siphon in the tank?
Yes.
And where did he eliminate the water to?
The window.
And?
And he started to siphon the water out, and I was trying to save some of the fish.
How were you trying to, let me ask you this question. How were you trying to save some of the fish?
Because he said he was going to empty the whole...
How were you trying to save some of the fish?
By taking a cup, and because the tank was pretty high, and try to get them out that way.
And where were you going to put the fish?
In a cup of water, the water that was already in the fish tank.
Okay. So you were going to try to save as many fish as you could. And how many fish were there?
There's approximately 25 fish.
Okay. You got to the house at 5:15. Can you explain to me why at 5:15, knowing that this was a leaky fish tank, potentially disastrous for whatever is underneath it, why you didn't empty the fish out of the tank between 6 and 9 o'clock?
Because the hole wasn't far enough to where I would have to transport the fish from one area to another. It didn't seem like that big of a crisis.
There would have been enough water
would have been
left in the
plenty
tank
of
from
water.
where the hole was that the fish could have survived without an issue.
Why didn't you siphon the water below that line before you went to work at 7 o'clock in the morning? You make it sound so easy, Mr. Wolf.
Well, because
You make it sound so easy, Mr. Wolf. All you had to do was siphon the water before you left for work.
Yeah.
By taking a hose, very carefully, putting the hose in, putting it outside, let the water go down below the line
Yes.
where it was leaking, then you have no problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why did you find it necessary?
It's my property.
No, the fish weren't ruining your property, so the water leak was ruining your property. And it had been doing it now for 12 hours.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Dustin Wolf says his father, John Wolf, destroyed his fish tank and killed his fish in a drunken rage. John is countersuing for damage to his home and a false police report.
Go ahead.
I trimmed trees for the power lines, and the night before we had a big storm, so we had to do storm response, which is why I ended up having to work all day, so I can't refuse that.
Who's telling you to refuse it?
Well, I'm saying I didn't have time in the period that when I woke up and I got the call from my boss saying that we were
Why
going to work
didn't you
in
call
storage.
your father?
He was already at work.
Is this your stepmother?
It's his fiance.
Why didn't you call her?
I didn't.
She
wouldn't
was
have
right
known
next
what-
door.
No, she doesn't live with him. She lives in a couple cities over. He was already at work and there was nobody else around.
How do you know he was already at work?
He leaves for work before me.
So the only one that you could call in this emergency, because you had to leave and you couldn't take the time.
But it wasn't an emergency,
where-
it was dripping so slowly. And I had the towels in
Evidently not,
containers.
because he's going to show me what the damage it did to the floor.
I have photos that show there is no damage to the floor.
Great. So what your father did was he took out the fish tank, right, after he siphoned off water, and he says it slipped out of his hand.
And all the water out, he ended up just dumping it out the window, which my bed got soaked. It soaked the entire wall, the floor, everything. I mean, the outside of the
He
house is
soaked
covered.
his wall.
Yes.
He soaked his wall.
It was on the inside of my bedroom
He soaked his wall.
and my mattress.
He soaked his wall.
Yeah, but I'm saying he didn't siphon all the water. I have the rocks from the bottom of the tank are all down the outside of the house.
God, Mr. Wolf. How old are you?
28. But I mean, if I'm renting it from him, it's not currently his wall. It would be my property.
No, it's not your property. It's his property that he's leasing to you. So now you're suing him for property damage.
Yes.
For damaging your fish and your tank.
Yes, and a stereo receiver.
What happened to the stereo? The tank was already busted. What happened to the stereo?
Well, as
When
she
he
told you,
threw the filter at the wall, when he first wanted to siphon out, he threw the filter at the wall, and there's water in the filter, and it got all over his stereo
all my
system.
electronics.
What happened, Mr. Wolf, when you got to the house? I want you to describe what you saw.
Towels and pans all around the fish tank, catching the water.
So what did you do?
I asked her for a hose. So I stuck it in there, started siphoning the water out the thing until I got down there, and went from there. Drained it out, started taking the rocks out, drop them out the windows, until I could pick this thing up and take it outside.
What did you do with the fish?
I didn't care about the fish.
Threw him out the window.
I
with
threw
the
them in the
rocks.
toilet.
I understand your frustration, sir.
Yeah.
He was also
But-
extremely intoxicated at the time of the event.
Maybe.
Oh, I have text messages from his girlfriend saying that he needs to take responsibility for his drunken actions.
Listen, your girlfriend was with them from 6 to 9. If he leaves for work before you do, what time does he get home?
Around 3.
And was he drinking and drunk when you were there from 6 to 9?
Yes.
Why did you stay?
I mean, because I always, sat around with them when they,
Well, why would you stay with somebody who was loaded?
I mean...
How long did you live in your father's house, Mr. Wolf?
Approximately 8 months.
How much rent did you pay your father?
I paid him $300 plus all utilities.
And what kind of a property is it?
It's just a small ranch.
It's a small ranch house.
Yes.
Bedrooms?
3.
And where is it located?
In Bedford, Ohio.
Is that the going rent for a 3-bedroom house on a lot of property, $300 a month where you live?
No.
So your father was giving you a break.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Wolf, I'd like you to tell me several things. Why did you, understanding that this was a slow leak in the fish tank because it had been going for a while and you knew about it since 6 o'clock?
No, I didn't. She came over later on in the afternoon, later on in the evening. I never saw her in the daytime.
No, she didn't say she came in the daytime. She said she went over to your house about 6 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, afternoon.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And when she she was there because there was a leak in the fish tank.
No, she was never there.
But just stand up. When she came over to your house, did she tell you why she was there?
I'm sorry?
When she came over to your house at 6 o'clock, did she tell you why she was at the property?
Yes.
Of course she did. She said there was a leak in the fish tank.
Yes.
And she sat around with you because it appeared that it wasn't an emergency. So my question to you now, Mr. Wolf, is if you heard that there was a leak in the fish tank, and she clearly may not be the brightest bulb, because I would have taken the fish out of, if it were me, I would have taken the fish out and tried to make another arrangement for them in the event something bad happened to this tank, because a little pinhole can explode anytime. He knows that. That's why he had tape over it, and he fixed it. He did everything but do the smart thing, which was drain it below that line. Why did you find it necessary to go over there, as you did, and destroy living things?
Because it was ruining my property.
No, the fish weren't ruining your property, so the water leak was ruining your property. And it had been doing it now for 12 hours.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The humanity in me would have said, listen, it's not the fish's fault that the idiot left the fish tank with a hole in it. I'm
There
going to throw out the
would have been
water.
a proper way to go about it, though.
You want to do it the proper way, do it yourself.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dustin Wolf has accused his father, John Wolf, of destroying his fish tank and killing his fish in a drunken rage. John claims Dustin falsely accused him of brandishing a gun.
Now, why couldn't you take 3 minutes before going over there in a huffy snit? And I don't know whether you were drunk or not. They're going to tell me. And there's probably some evidence that you were.
Yes, I wasn't. They were drinking with me.
No, he's lying, Your Honor.
No. Did you say, just a minute, she probably was. Was he home?
No, he wasn't home.
So he wasn't drinking with you?
Her.
He wasn't drinking with you. So, Mr. Wolf, you are minimally responsible for all of his dead fish.
Okay.
Now, what?
He was so irate during the whole incident, he told her that if I came home and said anything to him, he was going to shoot me.
Listen to me.
And it got so bad when I got home that I literally had to call 911.
I know you called the police. That's part of his counterclaim. He was drunk. And part of his counterclaim is that you called the police because he was drunk and a little bit crazy. But as a result of that, he had to go down to the police station for Mr. Wolf. That's what happens when you drink and get nuts. Now, what's the cost of your fish?
I actually didn't look up the cost of the fish. Because based on the price I paid for everything, and as I was looking up the cost to replace everything.
I'm not talking about replacing. He's not replacing everything. You left a leaky fish tank. If I were the landlord and came in and found a leaky fish tank, I would have gotten rid of it too, any way that I possibly could. But the humanity in me would have said, listen, it's not the fish's fault that the idiot left the fish tank with a hole in it. I'm going to at least try to save as many of the fish as I can before I throw out the water.
There would have been a proper way to go about it, though.
You want to do it the proper way, do it yourself. Do it yourself. Call in 10 minutes late.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Since 2009, over 14,000 artificial hips have been recalled. To learn if your artificial hip was recalled, call 1-800-LAW-FIRM now.
If you have high blood pressure like I do, many cold medicines may raise your blood pressure. Coricidin HBP relieves cold symptoms without raising blood pressure. Coricidin HBP.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, what is fish?
It'd be approximately $150.
Now, your counterclaim, sir, is that the leaky fish tank destroyed part of the floor. Show me.
I also have photos of the spot where the fish tank was.
I would like to see his photos, too.
And I also have pictures of the tank and where he threw a chair at the wall because he was so aggravated. You can see there's no discoloration. There's no damage to the wall. There's nothing like that, as he's trying to claim. If you want to see the phone before it shuts off. There's no damage whatsoever.
That picture's in the closet where all the water went down into, the one I have there. There was carpet in there, and when I pulled the carpet up, it's all mold in there.
Do you have an estimate?
Sure.
To replace that part of the floor?
He has an estimate from one of his drinking buddies. It's a completely impartial estimate.
There's another company, too.
Leaky fish tank caused damage to your father's property. It's your responsibility to take care of it. You're responsible for the damage to the house. He's responsible for the death of your pets, because that's what the fish were. They were pets of yours. And I actually don't think it's the right thing to do to flush them down the toilet. You may think it's okay. I don't. So, on your claim, I'm awarding you the $150 that you say would cost to replace freshwater fish. However, I'm awarding your father $2,000 for the damage to his house. Judgment on the counterclaim for $1,850. That's all. Thank you.
Why are you going to excuse me and step out?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
And they claimed the phone was already broken, and they left the phone in the curb.
You're following this baloney story.
I'm following the story.
But Mom can't stand to hear it.
Stop shaking. There's no attitude here except mine.
Judge Judy.
There's a way that he could have solved it properly, and he chose to be irate, and it's just ridiculous.
He doesn't think he's responsible for anything.
He drinks, and he's out of his mind.
Yeah, just to get me in trouble and make me pay for his fish tank.
I was terrified. I've never had a grown man act like that in front of me before, ever.
You dump 25 gallons of water in a room, something's going to happen.
They go on their business, and we go about ours.
Good riddance.
We're starting with a blank slate. I don't care what you told your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go up here.
Talking through a friend's phone fight.
What day are we talking about?
The day that the phone was broken.
Tell me about it.
And they claimed the phone was already broken, and they left the phone on the curb.
You're following this baloney story.
I'm following the story.
But Mom can't.
Except mine.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
David Haynes is suing the mother of his son's former friend, April Serrano, for the value of a phone broken by her son and harassment.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 165 on the calendar, the matter Haynes versus Serrano.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
I'd like the boys up with their parents, please. Mr. Haynes, this is your son, and this is your son, Miss Serrano. It is your claim, Mr. Haynes, that the defendant's son purposefully broke your son's cell phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And that in addition to that, he harassed you and your family.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Serrano says that her son tells her a totally different story.
Correct. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Neither one of you actually know, well, you don't know what happened because
Correct.
you weren't there. You're getting this information from your son, whose first name is?
Tavion.
Tavion. You were, in fact, present, according to you, when the phone was broken.
Already broken.
In front of your property.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, you two boys were friends. For a period of time, you went to school together. How old are you?
15.
And you?
13.
And then there was some sort of a dispute over what teenagers usually fight over, girls. Who had a girlfriend first?
I did.
And then the girlfriend that you had started to go out with?
Oh, no, ma'am. Me and his girlfriend were yearbook partners for the whole year, and he thought that me and her were talking for a different reason.
Okay, so the dispute was over a girl. What's your first name?
David.
But prior to this, you were friends.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a fair statement? So, Tavion, I want you to tell me what happened with his cell phone.
That day.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me, and let's start this way.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? I don't care what you told your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't care what you told any other members of your family. We're starting with a blank slate.
Yes, ma'am.
What happened with his phone?
That day.
Let's go up here. Right here. Third, please. When you say that day,
The phone was broken.
tell me about it.
That day, we went to go pick up our friend because we were all sleeping at another friend's house.
Who went?
Jordan, me, Anthony's cousin, and it's Anthony's house that we're staying at.
Okay. But not the plaintiff.
No, ma'am.
So you were all going to hang out in somebody's house. And?
We were waiting on David, Emmanuel, and Jordan to get back because we were waiting with Jordan. And then we were hanging with Jordan's older brother, and Anthony was playing basketball with Jordan's older brother. And when they came back, Emmanuel had David's phone, and they claimed the phone was already broken, and they left the phone on the curb.
Who had his phone?
Emmanuel.
What was Emmanuel doing with a phone that didn't belong to him?
I don't know, Your Honor.
You don't know?
No, ma'am.
Do you know him?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever let him take your phone?
No, ma'am.
Is he a friend of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see him that day?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll get back to you in a minute. Go ahead.
And then the phone was, they claimed the phone was already broken.
You can't tell me what they claim because that's hearsay.
Yes, ma'am.
So now you have a phone that you saw
Yes, ma'am.
on the curb.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Well,
Look here.
I spit on the phone.
You spit on the phone that was on the curb.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any particular reason why you spit on the phone that was on the curb?
Because they claimed it was broken.
That's ridiculous. That may be a story that your mother's going to believe. That's not a story that I believe. Now, at the time you spit on the phone, David had been negotiating with your girlfriend, yearbook partners for a year. Had you had any words with him about that?
No, I hadn't. I wasn't even upset about that.
You weren't?
No, ma'am.
Well, because I don't see you. You're a smart boy. You dress nicely. You seem to be in control of yourself. I don't see a reaction on seeing a phone on the ground and spitting on it.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't get that. And if I don't get it, it didn't happen. That way. for that reason. Now, after you spit on the phone that was on the ground, what happened?
Well, Manuel took the phone back to his house where David was.
Okay, so after you spit on the phone,
Yes.
Emmanuel, your friend, picked up the phone. Did he wipe off your spit from the phone?
I don't know what he did.
Well, did he say anything to you? Like, why did you spit on his phone?
No, he didn't say
No,
anything.
didn't say anything. Just took the phone that you had spit on and took it back to his house. Then what happened?
They sat there for a little bit. We
Who
continued.
sat there?
David and Emmanuel at Emmanuel's house.
So David was there.
Yes.
He wasn't there when you spit on his phone.
He was at Emmanuel's house, and Emmanuel and the rest of us were.
On his phone.
Yes.
Was he told that you would spit on his phone?
Most likely. Yes.
Most likely.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say most likely because,
I wasn't there.
but he left the phone at Emmanuel's.
Yes, when he finally went
he
home.
left the phone at Emmanuel's.
When he finally
Right.
went home, he left it on the
When
curb
he left it on the curb.
in front of Emmanuel's house. Yes.
Oh, but it wasn't on the curb in front of Emmanuel's house when you spit on it.
No.
So let me just follow this. You following this baloney story?
Following the story.
So now you're playing outside, away from Emmanuel's house. Somehow Emmanuel has possession of his phone. It's on the curb. You spit on it.
Yes.
Emmanuel picks up the phone to take it home.
Yes.
Takes it home where David is waiting. This is according to you.
Yes.
According to you, Emmanuel, but you weren't there, but you think he told David
Yes.
that you spit on his phone.
Yes.
And then he takes the phone and puts it outside on the curb.
No, he just drops it as he. I don't. It was
You
on the
don't
curb.
know what happened to the phone, but it was outside
On the
his
curb.
house on the
When-
curb.
when he left. Yes.
Just a second.
Yes.
Somehow you get possession of the phone.
No. After I spit on it, I had nothing to do whatsoever after that.
After you spit on again.
I seen it, but I did nothing.
Oh,
to
just
the
a
phone.
second. Let's come back to Mother.
Yes.
After you spit on the phone and Emmanuel took the phone,
Yes.
did you ever see the phone again that day?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, of course you did. Now, where did you see the phone again that day?
On the curb in front of Emmanuel's
This
house.
house. Where you did what with it?
I didn't touch the phone.
Didn't
after I
touch
spit
it.
on
So you saw it, you went back to Emmanuel's house, and you saw the phone on the curb. And then you had no contact with the phone again.
No.
Perfect. Back to your mother. Now, just for my own information, Miss Serrano, this incident happened on what day in April?
It was actually around spring break, which was not in April. It was in March.
It was in late
Gee.
March. It was on a weekend. I was sitting at home watching TV.
Okay. On the day of this incident, because you were contacted, correct?
No, ma'am. I was not contacted until about 3 weeks after this incident.
3 weeks after.
Yes, ma'am.
By whom?
By the mother of the son who smashed the phone.
Just a second. The name.
The mother's name is Tanya.
Now, where was your son staying, Miss Serrano? Shh. Well, let's start this way. 3 weeks before you were contacted by Tanya, it happened with the phone. Had your son been sleeping in your house regularly every night?
Yes.
So he had no sleepovers?
No, he spent the night at her house that day.
Just a second. He was spending the day and night at Tanya's house?
Correct.
Who's Tanya?
Tanya is the mother of the sons Jordan and Santi, and Santi had something to do with smashing the phone.
Now, I assume that if you let your son stay in Tanya's house, right?
Yes.
That you trusted her.
Yes, ma'am.
That she was a friend of yours.
Yes.
That you knew her well enough to entrust your 13-year-old child with her.
Correct.
That you had a relationship with her, right?
Yes.
Where is she today?
I don't know.
Well, that's, to me, somebody that you might want to bring as a witness. If what you're saying to me is you had a conversation with this person and the person responsible for the broken cell phone called you and had a discussion with you, which you can't relate to me because it's hearsay, but it would seem to me that if that person can exculpate, which means take away all question as to the guilt of your child, that person would be here today.
I have a text message.
I don't read text messages. That's hearsay. Person. The person else who broke the phone that day, it seems to me, Miss Serrano, that you would have that person here. I have nothing else to ask you right now, because that's just common sense.
According to you.
That's just common sense.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Look at me. Let's get it straight. This is not going to be easy if I'm not getting the story. You see how angry I'm getting? You don't want to get an old lady angry. I want you to trust me on this one.
And later today,
I want you to lean forward to me, because I promise I won't bite you. I don't care what anybody tells you. I haven't bitten an 8-year-old in a very long time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
David Haynes Jr. says former friend Tavion Smith purposely broke his phone. Tavion claims he's innocent.
Now, Mr. Haynes, I want you to tell me what you saw on the day that the cell phone wound up in front of your property.
Yes, ma'am. I was sitting inside watching TV, heard a noise at the door. I went outside, and the cell phone is broken up in front of my door on the floor.
How many pieces?
It was in 2 pieces.
Go ahead.
I go out, look up and down the street. The only people I see down the street is...
Tavion. You knew?
Well, actually, I don't really know Tavion all that well.
Had you ever seen him before?
Maybe once, but from a distance. I don't really know him.
Well, then how did you know it was Tavion?
Because he was with the other guy that was his friend, and the other guy that was his friend was also the son of Miss Tanya.
Who was that?
They were together.
Who was that?
His name was Santi.
Look at me. Yes, ma'am. Let's get it straight. This is not going to be easy if I'm not getting the story. You see how angry I'm getting? You don't want to get an old lady angry. I want you to trust me on this one. What was the name of the other boy?
Santi.
See how easy this is, Miss Serrano? Now, is what you're trying to tell me, sir, that it was this boy that put the 2 pieces of the phone at the door? Is that what you want to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't care. You know, there's some other dude did at Defense I've heard for 30 years. So you saw the 2 boys walking away. One of them was him, because he already lied to me, because he said the last time he saw the phone was in front of Emmanuel's house. We did say that right over here, that the last time you saw the phone was in front of Emmanuel's house. Stop shaking. There's no attitude here except mine, Miss Serrano.
I'm not shaking.
Sand. That was a lie. Because you saw the phone, because you told me that Sante broke the phone and left it in 2 pieces in front of the door. And you were with him.
No.
At his house.
No.
You just told me who it was.
There were no other pedestrians on the street, ma'am, but the 2 of them.
He just told me that he was, I said, who was the other boy? And he told me. You know, he thinks he's 13 and smart. What's Sante's mother's name?
Tanya.
Tanya, that's the one who allegedly spoke to your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. How much was the phone?
Well, when I first bought it, it was $300.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all. Out.
Oh, these are excused, Mr.
My son didn't touch that phone. He didn't break that phone.
I asked Tavion if he did it, and he admitted it to me.
He spit on it. Oh, well.
She told me off when I tried to explain to her what happened.
I don't want him to be friends with a 15-year-old who's in 7th grade. It's a bad influence.
We really came here because she would not take responsibility for her minor's actions.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hill versus Kelly. Step forward.
Karen Hill is suing her neighbor, Kim Kelly, for damage to her van after Kim's 8-year-old son, Adrian, fell off his bicycle and scratched it.
Could you bring that young man up here? I want to ask him a couple of questions. And while you're bringing him up here, Miss Hill, this is not a very difficult case. It is your client, who I'm going to talk to right now, scratched your car when he fell against your car with his bike.
Yes.
That's the case. Not too hard. And Miss Kelly says, doesn't think so. You're trying to blame her son for something that maybe somebody else did. Now, just tell me on what date this happened, please.
Your Honor, it was May the 29th.
At what time of the day?
It was around 8:45 in the evening.
Okay, I'm coming to you. Tell me your name.
Adrian.
Adrian, you're 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember riding your bike on the 29th of May?
Yes, ma'am.
You remember when this incident happened with Miss Hill, when your bike fell?
Yes.
Okay, so I want you to lean forward to me, because I promise I won't bite you. I don't care what anybody tells you. I haven't bitten an 8-year-old in a very long time. That was a joke, Adrian. Perfect, better.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You said, I was scared, so I told her that I did it.
Yes.
What did she say when she came out?
Did you hit my car? Then I said no. And then she said, yes, you did. So I panicked and said I did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Karen Hill says, neighbor, when he fell off his bicycle.
Okay, now, were you riding your bike alone or with friends?
Alone.
You've been riding a bike a long time?
Yes.
What kind of bike were you riding?
It looks like a dirt bike.
Did you get it as a gift?
No, it was my best friend's.
How did it come about that you were riding it? Did your friend give you permission to ride it?
Yes.
That day?
Yes.
And where was your friend?
On the basketball court.
Okay, so you asked your friend if you could ride his bike while he was playing basketball?
Yes.
And how long had you been riding the bike that day before you had the accident with Miss Hill's car?
10 minutes.
Tell me what happened when you rode the bike and you had the accident with Miss Hill's car.
I was riding it in the street. I tried to make a left turn up the sidewalk. I had fell left. Her son knocked on the door. She came out and...
Her son knocked at the door?
Yes.
When you say you fell left into her car?
No.
Well, tell me, when you say you fell left, what happened?
I fell on the sidewalk.
Okay. And?
Her son knocked on the door. She came out and said, wait a minute, did you hit my car? I said no. And then she said, yes, you did. And I just got scared and said I did.
Where was her son?
On the porch.
And was her son, is it a grown man?
I don't know how old he was.
But he wasn't a child like you are.
Yes.
And after you fell, he knocked at the door and his mother came out.
Yes.
How old is your son?
28.
28, so he's a grown man. And you admitted to Miss Hill that you fell into her car. Is that what you're telling me?
No.
Well, that's what you just said, Adrian. You said, I was scared, so I told her that I did it.
Yes.
Why were you scared?
Because she came out yelling.
What did she say when she came out?
Wait, did you hit my car? And then I said no. And then she said, yes, you did. So I panicked and said I did.
Okay. Now, when you went home, you spoke to your mom.
No, I went to go get her because Miss Hill, she wanted her.
Did you go get your mom?
Yes, I got her out the shower.
Your mother must have said, why does she want to see me?
No, she didn't.
You didn't tell her why she wanted to see her?
I said Miss Hill wanted her because I had crashed into her van.
Okay, good. Now you can sit down. Thank you very much. Perfect. See how easy that was?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, so your son came home and said to you, Miss Hill wants to see you because I crashed into her van.
No.
Well, that's what, just listen to me. That's what he just told me. Do you understand what he just told me? He got you out of the shower.
Right.
And said, Miss Hill wants to see you. You said, what does Miss Hill want to see me for? And he said, Miss Hill wants to see you because I just crashed into her van. He didn't say, I don't know. Now, can I see the pictures of the van?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. Always tell the truth. You want to know something? Really important. Okie dokie. Did you get an estimate? Cheapest estimate that you got, not the most expensive. What's the cheapest estimate that you got?
Cheapest one that I have here is $874.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And on the next Judge Judy.
The house was in a total state of disrepair.
Your complaint is that she purposely left the gas on to damage your property.
Her bizarre behavior made me suspicious.
Next Judge Judy.
I do feel like he didn't do it. It's a million kids in the neighborhood. How can you pick?
I'm running rampant.
Oh, it caused a lot of stress. I missed days off of work, very irritated, emotional.
I can't help that she missed work and she's stressed. I'm stressed. Everybody's stressed.
It is what it is.
But at the end of the day, watch your kids.
He had to leave.
Yes.
And they left.
Mom loses her live-in sitters.
Who was taking care of your daughter?
60% of the time, my parents, 40% Montana.
Is that right?
No. The majority of the time, we did have her.
After fed-up roommates pack it in.
Where was your boyfriend?
He lives with his mother.
But staying with you?
No.
He would usually work nights and come over in the morning and just hang out all day.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
22-year-old Brianna Clark is suing her former roommates, Montana Hull and Patrick Parisi, for unpaid rent, security deposit, and utility bills.
Order. All rise.
This is case number 230 on the calendar in the matter of Clark versus Hull Paris.
Miss Clark, according to your complaint, you've known both of the defendants for quite a long time. There came a time when the four of you decided to rent an apartment together. You, the two fellows, and you were moving in with your daughter.
Yes.
And they were on the lease as well as you were on the lease.
Yes.
Now, I want you to pay very careful attention to what I'm going to ask you now. You moved into the apartment and signed the lease with the defendants when?
March 8th, 2014.
And in the month of March, who was taking care of your daughter? Don't look over there. In the month of March, make sure I have the answer.
Yes.
Because, you know, you don't want to be embarrassed. In the month of March, who was taking care of your daughter when you were working?
60% of the time, my parents watch her and is either at their...
Not watch her. I said in March 2014, who was taking care of your daughter?
I took care of her.
Not when you're working. I'm going to get an answer.
Yes.
In March 2014, who was taking care of your daughter?
60% of the time, my parents, 40% Montana.
40%?
Montana.
I'm Montana.
And in February of 2014, who took care of your daughter?
The same, 60%. My
yeah,
parents.
That's an easy number for you to come up with. How do you get to 60%? You work 6 days a week?
I work 3.
And taking care of your daughter, and how many days a week was your mother taking care of your daughter?
It varied. Some days it would just switch off every week, but majority of the time I would just take her to her grandparents' house.
Is that right?
No. The majority of the time we did have her. If there was a discrepancy between us being able to provide for her or not, then that was the second option, would be to go to the grandparents.
Okay, this is what your lawsuit is about. There was some sort of a disagreement after you signed your lease. The defendants left. They say they left because the boyfriend was hanging around there all the time. Mr. Hull says since he was really, he felt, doing a parenting job with your daughter while he was taking care of her while you were working, he didn't appreciate the boyfriend just hanging around all day when he wasn't working. And he didn't think it was a good idea anyway because the boyfriend is not the child's father. Is that right? Anyway, you had disagreement about it, and certainly that is an unhealthy situation. You have a boyfriend, and your two roommates, at least one of them, doesn't like the boyfriend. That's not healthy. So somebody had to leave, right?
Yes.
And they left. And what you want from them is their rent.
Yes.
They say that the agreement was, in exchange for them taking care of your daughter, that was going to partially cover rent. Now, when you moved in, Miss Clark, where was Mr. Hull working?
He was unemployed.
Well, the two of them were not working.
Yes.
How were they supporting themselves?
Montana was in the process of starting a business, and they were beginning to start building their clients, so they were sometimes have work and sometimes not have work.
And you knew that?
Yes.
And so the arrangement was, since they were home trying to start their business, they were going to take care of your daughter while you went to work?
No.
No. Is that the way it sort of worked out?
Yes.
What do you mean, yes?
It's just things change so often, so it's hard to say.
What do you mean it changed so often?
Just like our agreements on certain things, it just changed over time.
Explain it to me, because I'm not getting a legitimate answer from her.
Yeah, can you kind of...
That I believe.
Can you ask the question again, because I don't really understand?
I'd like you to tell me how it changed. Let's talk about when you moved into the apartment.
Oh, okay. Well, it was a house we decided to move into. We decided to get a bigger place because we did have a child. I'm not the biological father, but we did want her to have her own room. So we basically got a bigger house so we could provide that for her. After we did that, I got laid off, and so I was on unemployment. And that's kind of how I was providing. And then I was able to have the opportunity to start my own business, and I did. And that's how I provide for myself now. But at that time, I was in a transition period from starting my business. So I asked Brianna if she could just loan me the money if we did move in together. Because we were supposed to move in together about 3 months before that. But she wasn't ready at that time. So my foster parents even offered to loan her the money so it wasn't being a burden on them as far as me being there. Unfortunately, after living...
There's too much information there. I want you to get to the point when you did, in fact, move into the house. You weren't working. That's what you said.
Correct. I think at the beginning, that's that transition period. So I just started before I moved in. I just started.
So you said you used the word loan. You said, I asked Brianna if she could loan us the money. Did she loan you the money?
Absolutely. Well, the money was never in between our hands. She just dealt with it. So yes, the money, she did loan me the money, but I never touched the money.
Loaned you the money for what?
To pay for the first month's rent and the deposit.
Did you ever pay her back?
I paid her $200 the day I moved out on the 21st for the first month's worth of rent, and then that's all I paid her.
And how much do you still owe her?
Nothing.
Why?
Because when I moved out, originally Brianna had put the 30-day notice in stating that she didn't want to live there. The next day, my landlord called me and said, hey, what are you guys going to do? Would you guys like to work something out, or would you guys like to put in your 30-day notice as well? We decided at that point to put in our 30-day notice as well. I guess she canceled her 30-day notice, and when we got ours, we moved out.
But you said when you moved in, the first month you didn't have your piece of security deposit and the first month's rent. How much was that altogether?
$2,350, the total, for the first month rent and the deposit.
For all of you?
For all of us, correct.
Oh, and you were going to divide this in thirds, correct?
I had the additional room, so I only halved it.
Oh, so it's $2,350 is what you paid when you moved in.
Yes.
Divided by 2 equals $1,175. And you gave her $200.
$200, correct.
Minus $200.
Gave me $100.
Well, my calculator says then you still owe her $975.
Well, I don't owe her the money. The reason why I don't feel like I do is because I did move out.
When did you move out? You moved in March?
Yeah, I moved out in March, April, May 21st.
Well, then you owe her the money. Did you pay rent?
Yes, I did.
How much?
Well, the way it worked with our landlord is she charged us the full month's worth of rent for the first month, and then the second month we paid a prorated rate for the first month. So I paid that because I was still getting unemployment, I think, at that time, I believe, or I had money left over.
Did you pay rent in April?
March, April. Yes, ma'am, I did.
All of it?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did you?
We're together.
You're together. So you paid April.
Yes, ma'am.
What about May?
April, May. No, we did not pay May.
Why?
Because there was a problem that happened in the household. There was a, I don't know if do you care to hear about the issue?
Well, I don't know. Tell me, and then I'll let you know.
So our daughter that we shared together, however you want to say it, we had our own separate piggy bank that we had for her, and then Brianna also had her own piggy bank as well. There was an issue, I guess, of change missing, less than $10 worth of change. Brianna texted me and said, hey, there's $10 missing worth of change. You know, it's missing, basically accusing me of taking the money. That because I provide for her, I buy her, I spent $200 at least that month on her alone. So $10 of change wouldn't really make a difference. So we got in an argument about that, and that's kind of what made us drift apart, and that's how everything evolved to where I guess it is.
What does that have to do with not paying your rent?
Because, okay, so when that happened, Brianna said that, okay, obviously we can't live together, and I agreed. So she agreed that if we moved out as soon as I got my direct deposit, that as soon as we moved out, we didn't have to pay any rent for that month.
No, but you lived there the month of May.
Correct. I completely understand that. But
well, then what was the rent that you didn't pay for May?
I didn't pay anything. Yeah, $475.
$475.
Correct.
The total was $950. His half was $475.
Fine. So he owes you $975 plus $475. That's May. Did you pay in June?
I didn't live there in June.
You didn't?
No, ma'am.
Great. $1,440. What could be easier? Right?
Yes.
Anything else you want?
There was never an agreement to pay for child care.
$1,440, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lidahl versus Sylvain Decker. Step forward.
James Lidahl is suing his ex-girlfriend, Stacy Decker, and storage facility owner John Sylvain for selling his RV and boat while he...
Decker were a couple for about 15 years.
That's correct.
And then, while you were a couple, you stored some items in a storage facility that's owned by Mr. Sylvain?
Yes, ma'am.
You stored an old RV and an old jet boat.
And all my personal possessions.
Those are the two things that were in there of any value. I don't care about your personal possessions. And you stored the things with him in January of 2014. And according to you, and it's not disputed, you paid him for 2 months, January and February.
That's correct.
But in January, you were arrested and sadly became incarcerated for the next 6 months.
Correct.
And you did not pay the storage facility after January.
February was paid for.
Right, but you did not pay after you paid him the initial payment for the 2 months, January and February.
That's correct.
So March, April, May, and June, you didn't pay him.
Right.
Your girlfriend, who in January was still your girlfriend, went to the facility at some point, because were you living together? before he went to jail?
Not right before we went, no.
In what month and year was the last time you lived together?
It was a year before that.
Okay. Then you had your own place and he had his own place.
I moved back home with my mom.
All right. You don't have in connection.
Mm-hmm.
And according to you, you went to the storage facility because you knew that he had only paid January and February.
Right.
And according to you, under his direction, because he said to sell the stuff, you sold the old RV and the other thing, and I think you say you got something like $1,800 for both of them.
Total, yes.
Okay. And what did you do with that money?
Spent it.
On what?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did not tell her to sell my boat.
I kept every letter he ever wrote me.
I received that letter in March.
No, this isn't a letter you received, sir. This is a letter that you sent to her.
And later today,
I was unable to provide roof over my child's head, so I let the insurance lapse in order to do that.
It's still your responsibility to keep it insured because they're not going to attach your wages. And I have a feeling that you don't care about your credit.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Liedall says ex-girlfriend Stacy Decker sold his RV and boat while he was in jail. Stacy claims James told her to do so.
Now, what did you do with that money?
I put money on his books for jail.
How much money did you put on his books?
Just a couple hundred, maybe $400 total.
Okay. And what else did you spend it on? Bills.
Well, he didn't have any. He was in jail.
Okay. So $1,800, and according to you, you put $400 on his books. So did he give you permission to use the remainder of the money for yourself?
In a roundabout way, yes, he did.
Well, explain that to me, roundabout. Roundabout doesn't a contract make.
Well, I have a letter from him saying that I could do whatever I wanted with the money. Merry Christmas.
Oh, I'd like to see that letter.
It's at the very top, right there, that paper.
You referred to her as your wife?
Yeah, I thought pretty much no,
that's the way, I'm just asking, that's the way you start your letter.
I don't know what that letter says.
You refer to her as your wife?
No, I don't.
Well, in this letter you did, I'm comparing the writing on here with your writing. This is a letter you wrote.
She is not my wife.
Oh, my wife. So, blank the boat. If you need the money, Merry Christmas, I love you. And your mother didn't come to visit you?
Yes, my mother did.
Eventually?
No, my mom is the one, she see me regularly.
Did she come to see you?
No.
Did she come to see you? That's either a yes or a no?
Yes.
How many times did she come?
January and middle of February. That's the last time I seen her.
And what happened in February?
She disappeared. I didn't get any letters from her. No letters. She didn't come see me or anything at all.
Do you have any letters from him after February?
Not with me, Your Honor, but I did go and see him until Easter. Easter was the last day I went to the jail to go and see him. So that was in, what, April?
You told her to sell the boat if she needed the money.
I didn't. That's
what?
That's not correct. I did not tell her to sell my boat. No, that's...
I kept every letter he ever wrote me.
Yeah, well, I didn't tell her to sell my belongings.
Yeah, you did.
On that letter was written in March. I received that letter in March.
This isn't a letter you received, sir. This is a letter that you sent to her.
Right. But I mean, I realized I didn't get notice that my stuff was gone until March.
Who cares? And you said Merry Christmas. So it was clear that you were telling her if you need money, sell the boat, Merry Christmas, even though you didn't go to jail until after Christmas.
Right.
And by the way, I don't know what you involved him for. What did you expect him to do with your junk after your rent expired?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today.
In what month was the car flooded out?
October 31st, 2013.
So is what you're telling me that the insurance lapsed the same month that the car was flooded?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Liedall says ex-girlfriend Stacy Decker sold his RV and boat while he was in jail. Stacy claims James told her to do so.
Now, let's say instead of renting a storage space, sir, you stop paying rent on your apartment. Do you expect the landlord to hold it for you?
Send her to my address that I'm late on my rent, and my mother would gladly pay for my rent.
Just a second. That's not his responsibility. It's your responsibility. Tell your mother to go pay, who you didn't come to visit you right away, to go pay for the storage facility if it was important to you. Who were you living with?
My mother.
So she was living with her mother and you were living with your mother. Terrific. I can't help you, Mr. Ladle. You told her to have the boat? That's exactly what she did. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Damer versus Poling. Step forward.
Dennis Damer is suing his former son-in-law, Justin Poling, for a loan to buy a car.
Mr. Damer, the defendant is your former son-in-law. He
Yes,
and
ma'am.
your daughter share a child. He has primary physical custody of the child. So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you legally divorced?
Yes, Your Honor.
When were you divorced?
July of 2009.
And how long have you had primary custody of your daughter?
The final paperwork was signed February 2000.
Separated. He worked for you,
Yes, ma'am.
and he needed a car. You financed a car for him.
Well, Your Honor, basically what it was, I didn't really finance, I would say. It was, he had been working with me for a while, and they had joint custody. And once he actually got... I
Car.
co-signed. Yes, ma'am.
You co-signed on a car, and both of your names were on the title.
Yes, ma'am.
But the agreement was that Mr. Poling was going to make the payments, take care of the insurance, because for all intents and purposes, it was his car.
Yes,
So
Your
far, correct, Mr. Poling?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Well, then, at some point, Mr. Poling, you quit your job.
Correct.
So you were no longer working for Mr. Damer. But you continued to make, for some time, payments on the car.
Correct.
For about how long?
Last payment I made was January of 2014.
And I assume that the car remained, as it should have remained, insured.
No, Your Honor. The insurance lapsed in October of 2013. I was unable to provide roof over my child's head, so I let the insurance lapse in order to do that because my brother was living with me and couldn't afford his half of the rent.
Well, that's too bad, Mr. Poling. Then that would be your fault.
Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow...
The car was flooded out.
Yes, Your Honor.
In what month and year was the car flooded out?
It was October 31st, 2013.
So is what you're telling me that the insurance lapsed the same month that the car was flooded?
Yes, Your Honor, at the beginning of that month.
You have any proof of that?
No, Your Honor, I don't need to bring that with me.
What happened after the car was flooded, sir?
Prior to that, I had asked Mr. Damer to come pick up the car because I had
What
informed
happened to the car?
him. It was taken to his property and dropped on his property
By whom?
by a tow company, Elite Towing.
And where is the car now?
It's still in the same exact spot that it was dropped off.
How much is owed on the car?
$13,500.
I've got paperwork right here that says the balance is $12,479.11.
Who's supposed to pay that?
Me, Your Honor.
Right. Because you didn't have the insurance. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you agree that it's your responsibility.
I asked him to come pick it up in September, and he hadn't come and picked it up yet, so...
So you have to keep it insured.
Wait.
Shh. So you have to keep it insured until he comes to pick it up.
I didn't have the financial stability to maintain that. That's why I'd asked him to come pick up the vehicle.
Well, that may be okay. It was still your responsibility to keep it insured because they're not going to attach your wages. And I have a feeling that you don't care about your credit. He does. And if the payout on the car is $12,000, the court limit for me is $5,000. There's still a hole on the car. Anything else? No. Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
The four of you signed a lease. Why did you move out of the house?
I was pregnant at the time. Amanda and Todd said they would help me out, and they never did.
We didn't make you pregnant.
Next Judge Judy.
I don't feel I owe this man a dime. He actually co-signed on the vehicle for me, and he told me I could return it to him at any time that I felt I couldn't make payments.
Well, actually, what he just said about if he can't afford the car, he can call me and I'll take responsibility. That's pretty crazy.
I hope that we can move past this and they can have a relationship with their granddaughter as well.
I guess we do get a relationship with the granddaughter again.
Maintain financial responsibility on my vehicle.
Bank's closed, yes, sir.
A scary moment at a kids' hockey game.
You fell down and hit your head.
He got a penalty because he hit me.
I pushed him away from me, and he fell and hit his head on the ice.
But the video replay
That's not the way the game is played.
shows the real score.
It's the sport of the game where there's contact made.
There are no rules that permit that kind of behavior.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheinlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Kenneth Fleitz is suing fellow hockey dad Michael Lejewski for medical bills. Kenneth claims Michael's son injured his boy during a hockey game.
Order. All rise.
This is case number 573 on the calendar in the matter of Fleitz versus Lejewski.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Fleitz, it is your claim that the defendant's son purposely injured your son during the course of a hockey game.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says that your son hit his son first, and his son merely pushed him to get him out of the way, and he fell and hurt himself. He had a concussion. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. What's your first name?
Zachary.
Zachary, is this the first time you played in a game with?
Easton.
With Easton?
Yes.
Well, let's start with you. So come up here. Because there's no issue with the fact that you pushed Easton, but you say, your father says at least, that you pushed him for a reason. Do you remember when this game was?
I believe it was in March 2014.
And I want you to tell me what happened.
I was down at the the goal net, and
look at me. You were down at the goal net during the game.
Our goalie made a save. Then
the goalie made a save, and that means that
he stopped the puck
from going in.
Yeah.
And
he started hitting him with the stick.
Who started hitting him with the stick?
Easton.
Started hitting the goalie with the stick.
And he started to push him, like take his stick and drive him.
And
then I skated over and knocked his stick away from our goalie.
And
he started hitting me in the back of the legs with the stick, where there's no padding, right about here. And then when I got to the third period, we were behind the play. Then he tried to lift my stick and missed and hit me in the head, and I pushed him away from me. And that's when he fell and got the concussion.
Okay, go stand next to your dad. Okay, Easton. Now, would you consider yourself an aggressive player? Now, Zachary tells me that he felt you touching him on the back of his legs with your stick.
I was not hitting him in the back of the leg. I was messing with his stick and tying him up, but I was not hitting him.
What does that mean, tying him up?
I was using my stick to make it so that he couldn't receive a pass if they passed it to him.
Okay, so now I want you to tell me what happened with Zachary.
Well, I tied him up with the blue line, and then the play started to move down to their end, and he hit me. I felt.
How did he hit you?
He checked me. He used the side of his body.
Your shoulder.
Yeah, and hit me down, and then I got back up.
Okay.
That time, and then the second time that he hit me when I was skating down towards to play my position, he hit me, and that's when I got my concussion. The second time he hit me with his shoulder again.
So he did what you called before checking?
Yeah, and which...
Like that?
Yeah, well, harder, and you can't do that in this league.
Did you say anything to him the first time that he checked you and you fell down?
No.
And they didn't stop the game? And there are referees there, aren't there?
Yes.
Was Zachary's team penalized because you fell the second time?
Yes, ma'am.
How were they penalized?
He got a penalty because he hit me.
Okay. Now you can go.
Yes.
And that was because you checked him?
Yes.
At that time, when you got the penalty because you checked him, did you have a conversation with the coach?
The coach was halfway over the boards yelling at me.
Did you have a conversation with the coach?
No, ma'am.
Did you tell the referee that he had been hitting you with a stick?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I didn't think about doing that.
Well, you told me that you checked him because he was hitting you with a stick.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you got a penalty, you really felt as if you were justified in checking him because he was hitting you?
Yes.
So why didn't you tell him?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
So you don't. So did you think that you had the right to check him?
No.
So then you knew it was wrong?
I kind of pushed him.
Well, that's even worse than checking him. Right?
I pushed him away from me, and he fell and hit his head on the ice.
What, Mr. Fleitz?
I have the incident in question I have on video.
I'd like to take a look at it.
No. The defendant is circled in yellow, and my son is at the top left-hand side of the screen. Expected contact there, you're going to have it where they kind of collide, and there's where the...
Got it. Got it. You want to see it again?
No.
You saw it.
I've seen it, but that doesn't show the justice for it.
Well, that's when he was hurt.
Right, but you didn't see all the stuff leading up to...
Oh, look at whatever you have for me to see, sir.
No.
I assume that if the game is videotaped, it's the entire game was videotaped.
Yes.
So if you had tape for me to look at that would have supported your son's version of what happened to him on the ice, you would have brought that to me. And since you didn't bring it to me, and you've seen that, I have to conclude that it doesn't exist.
I understand.
I know you understand.
Does your court have time enough for a 60-minute hockey game to watch the whole
listen
incident?
To me. We don't have to have time. You have to have time for a 60-minute hockey game. All you had to do was get a copy of the tape, look at it, you put it to a spot that you want me to see. You want me to see him hitting him with a stick, and that would support with some justification a little boy's reaction, but not what I saw here. Not what I saw here. Okay. You have your medical bill?
League.
I don't need the
no
rules of the
contact.
league. There are no rules that permit that kind of behavior. Zachary.
I have a witness that was the coach that was sitting right there at the bench, had a better bird's eye view, so to speak.
Then a video? No way. Video. That's easy. That makes my job so easy. It makes the fact finder's job so easy. Your son says, sir, that he was assaulted by the plaintiff's son, and his pushing him was a reaction to that. That did not demonstrate that. And if it had happened previously, then what he should have done was complain about it, which he did not do.
It's the sport of the game where there's contact made.
That kind of contact is not permissible. You know that. That's not the way the game is played.
If I may, Your Honor.
You can tell me whatever you want. I don't want you to tell me what you saw, because now I know there's a video that I could see with my own eyes, sir. Do you understand?
Yes.
Great. Your last name?
McMahon.
Yes.
I was the coach. I was on the bench. I've coached literally hundreds of youth hockey games. While it's true that checking is illegal at this age group, there is all kinds of contact that happens in a game. As you saw the first part of that play, Easton, the defenseman, skated over and cut in front of Zach, and Zach knocked him down. But there's all other kinds of contact in a game that occurs.
You want to see the video again?
I've seen it about 50 times, Your Honor.
Okay. Is that the kind of thing that you, as a coach, would find acceptable behavior?
Well, of course not, Your Honor.
Okay. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a criminal violation, sir. We're talking about saying to this young man, if your father looked at the tape and saw this young man on that tape hitting him with a stick repeatedly on the back of his legs, which is what he said, to justify it, I would be seeing that tape.
Well, Your Honor, if I can explain that. We were not anticipating litigation when the game ended. And the security system at Tamashanner only keeps the video for a certain amount of time.
Where did he get this video from?
This video was requested immediately after the authorities at the Tamashanner hockey rink. They went through the game. They found the one incident. They saved only that one incident, and it was sent to the USA Hockey, the governing board that administers youth hockey across the United States. The USA Hockey deemed it as a regular hockey play. They did not have any justice needed from USA Hockey. They referred it back to our local organization.
For what?
For local discipline.
And
Zach was, I believe, suspended for one game.
Nope. Zach and I and his mother went in front of the commissioner for the USA Hockey.
Was he suspended or was he not?
No.
I could be wrong on that, Your Honor.
No, he wasn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
she wants a title because she doesn't want somebody coming around saying, you know what? He used to have a boat that looked just like that. I had a picture of my Aunt Sophie. That's the same picture. Let me see your title.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kenneth Flight says Michael Lajewski's son, 9-year-old Zachary, injured his son when he illegally checked him during a hockey game.
What I'm telling you, sir, is I don't believe your son when he says to me he was being repeatedly hit in the back of the legs, which caused him to do this checking or pushing. I don't believe that.
And that would
if
go
you
with-
believe that, that's ducky. And I'm also telling the plaintiff that if you allow your little boy to play in a sport where he can get hurt, and you know that that's a possibility, I'm not suggesting everybody play badminton or chess where the likelihood of injury is de minimis, but you elect to do that. So you assume certain risks. You let your son assume certain risks. Or pushing is a risk that's assumed when you play the sport. However, you are dealing with young children, and young children don't always react here. They react from here. So I'm not awarding you any punitive damages against the defendant, but I think that the defendant should cover your medical expenses because I think that his son caused the injury to your son, and I think that that's what his responsibility is. And I think that he's minimizing and should actually address several things, including the fact that he's twice his size and can, by virtue of the fact that he is twice his size, really cause some damage. You know, a little push, a little check is one thing, but when somebody who is twice the size pushes you on ice with people flying around with sharp blades, you have to start thinking about that because you're getting old enough to think about the consequences of your actions. You got that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have been happy, nor would your father have been happy, nor would the coach have been happy who's standing here if instead of standing here, he got a concussion and died. Would you have then thought, sir, that it was still just a regular check?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I would have too.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $389.37. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step.
Bunch of hogwash.
I think we came here to send a message back that
You assume the risk of playing hockey.
a particular type of play is not acceptable, and it ain't right.
I think that they should take up another sports like ballet or something.
I just hope that, like I said, something like this doesn't happen to somebody else.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Murphy versus West. Step forward.
Brigitte Murphy is suing Jeff West for the return of a security deposit on a boat and the cost of a boat slip.
Miss Murphy, you purchased a houseboat from the defendant by giving him a deposit and signing a contract. According to what I read in your complaint, you now want that deposit back, plus the cost of a boat slip that you rented in anticipation of having the houseboat delivered, because it is your claim that Mr. West could not complete the transaction since the title to the boat was not in his name. Mr. West has some other story. I'm not exactly sure what it is. He says, with the reference to part of your claim, that if you went and got a house slip to put the boat, that's your problem, not his. I happen to agree with you with regard to that, sir, that you're not responsible for that. But you would agree that in order to sell a boat, you need a title.
You need a bill of sale. Title is in the state of California. You go into the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Know that.
All I'm
Let
saying
me
is,
ask you this question, sir.
Go ahead.
Where did you get the boat from?
From...
No, don't look down.
Okay.
Look here. Where did you get the boat from and when?
I got the boat right around June of 2014 from, can't remember his name without looking at the bill of sale that I have here in front of me, for the sole purpose of selling it.
But just listen. Is this the first boat that you've owned? No, don't think about it.
No, it's not the first boat I've owned.
How many boats have you owned?
10, maybe.
I haven't owned 10. Couple. Small ones. I always had a title.
Are you asking me?
No, I'm telling you.
Oh.
I always had a title.
Have you ever bought a boat to sell?
She's not buying the boat to sell. She's buying the boat to use.
Right.
And for that, she wants a title, because she doesn't want somebody coming around her and say, you know what? I used to have a boat that looked just like that.
You
I had a picture of my Aunt Sophie on the rear of that boat, and look, there's my Aunt Sophie. She looks a little weathered at this point, but that's the same picture.
Right.
Let me see your title to my boat.
How you get a title to your boat is you go to DMV with your bill of sale after you pay for the boat, and you have the thing transferred into your name.
Mr. West, is there something wrong with you, sir?
In a moment.
I've got an honest face, right? Bird. But I have an honest face. Are you telling me that they're going to give her a title to the boat based upon our word for it?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Regine Murphy claims Jeff West scammed her over the sale of a boat.
Now, I'm not suggesting that you stole this boat. Now, I could suggest it because I didn't like your answers to me to the first few questions that I posed to you, because it sounded shady to me. But let us assume you stole the boat. At night, you and your friend here, what's your name?
Jim.
Jim. Got a little loaded and went to a marina 2 counties away and said, there's a boat there, keys are in the boat. We're going to start it up. We're going to drive it up country. Going to park it over here. I'm going to put an ad in Craigslist. Boat for sale.
Right.
And she comes to you and you say, I'm going to give you a bill of sale.
No.
I'm going to write out a bill of sale.
I go to DMV with her with that bill of sale, and we transfer it into her name at DMV.
Just a second.
Go ahead.
What gives you, unless you get a really dumb DMV worker, I can walk in with Bird and say, you know what? Here's my bill of sale. I'm here with you. I've got an honest face, right? Bird, but I have an honest face. And I'm selling a boat. Here's the VIN number on the boat. I'm selling it to her.
Right.
And the boat happens to belong to him.
Right.
All of a sudden, are you telling me that they're going to give her a title to the boat based upon our word for it?
What I will have is a bill of sale from the person's name who the boat is in with a release of liability that was mailed in showing that he sold it to this gentleman, and then from this gentleman to me, and from me to her, and they will put the title in her name.
Just a second. Is the boat in your name now?
No.
Why not? Wouldn't that be just as easy, Mr. West, for you, instead of going down there and having to prove this odd chain of custody of this title? If you want to sell the boat, say, I will give you a bill of sale, and here is the title that's in my name. Why wouldn't you title the boat in your name?
It's done every day this way.
Great. Well, it's not done every day with this plaintiff. She doesn't want to do it, so you have to give her money back.
Your Honor,
That's
there
fine.
was no VIN number on the boat.
Just a second. Listen to me. Does it sound like you're losing? I know that you want to have your 15 minutes, but I've already done the 15.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
How much of a deposit did you give him?
$500.
Did you spend her deposit? Good. I'm glad you didn't, because you had to think about that for a second. Where's
I
the
painted
boat?
the boat. I did a lot of work to it.
Where's the boat?
The boat is at a marina right by my home.
Terrific. Now I'm going to make this suggestion for you. After you give her back her deposit, I suggest that you take all the paperwork that you have and go and have the boat titled in your name. So the next time you put an ad up on Craigslist or any place else, you can say, I have the title to it. Here it is in my name. Not some convoluted story to make an extra quick buck. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Funds are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You were arrested on an assault charge.
She actually bailed me out. It was Dion's money. It wasn't my money.
Well, if it was Dion's money, what are you suing him for?
Yeah.
Next Judge Judy.
And stop returning my phone calls.
The way that I was selling this boat is done every day.
He said that he couldn't find the VIN number on the boat.
It wasn't anything out of the ordinary.
Every time I talked to the DMV, they said,
The title wasn't questionable.
don't take it, it's probably stolen.
It sounded like trouble from the beginning.
You meet somebody who's the neighbor of a friend of yours. He says, I could help you find a car.
Then the catastrophe.
He gave you a car. You drove off, and it broke down.
I didn't find out it had broken down until I had gotten home and found the car in my driveway.
So you have their $3,000, and they have no car.
The deal's as is, and I felt bad because of the situation.
You're going to feel worse.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheinlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Leanne Dunnigan and her daughter Sarah are suing Sean Holmes for the return of money they paid for a car.
Order. All rise.
Case number 568 on the calendar, the matter of Dunnigan versus Holmes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge Parziban.
How do you know the defendant?
He was the neighbor of a really good friend of mine.
Tell me about this car deal that you made with him and under what circumstances you made the deal with him.
Well, my daughter has money to get a car. She has a budget of $3,000.
Where did she get the money from?
It was a gift from her aunt and uncle.
When did you get the gift from your aunt and uncle?
Right before that, in July.
What are their names?
Kira and John.
Where do they live?
They live in Northern California.
Now, when John and Kira gave you the money, what did you do with it?
My mom held on to it.
What did you do with it?
I had it put away in the house, waiting until we could find a car to purchase with it.
You mean John and Kira gave you $3,000 in cash?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many other children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
17 and 15.
How old are you?
20.
Is there any particular reason John and Kira gave this child money?
Because they were hoping to help her to be able to go to school because we're having to share my car.
Is that your brother?
Yes.
So you called him?
He actually had offered. We had gone up there for a visit in October of 2013, and we had been going through a difficult time, and he said that he would like to help us out. And we were talking about school, and I was saying that it's difficult for Sarah to make a commitment to get. He said, well, we would love to help you out and get her a car or use it for a down payment, whichever she chose.
And that was in July?
That was in October when we had this conversation of 2013. July is when he actually sent the money.
How did he send it?
He sent a check.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. You just told me a moment ago he gave you $3,000 in cash.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm asking you, Miss Dunnigan.
Okay.
A moment ago, I said, how did you get the money? You said, I got the money. He gave it to us in cash, and I kept it in the house. But he doesn't live near where you live, so I said,
Right.
How did you get the money? And you said, he sent it in a check. Those are two different stories.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I didn't know
I
this
want you
was...
to get you. It is important. So now, he sent you a check. Is that what you're telling me now?
Yes.
And what did you do with the check?
I cashed it. And then...
Do you live in a house or do you live in an apartment?
A house.
Is it owned or rented?
Rented.
You pay gas, electric, telephone, utilities?
Yes.
Are you employed?
I am now, yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm support staff at an elementary school.
So you get paid by check?
Yes.
What do you do with the check? You put it in a...
Bank account.
Checking account.
Right.
From which you also write checks to pay for other things, the money.
Okay. I mean, they gave it to me right then, so I'm sorry. I thought it was the same thing. I mean,
It's not the same thing.
I didn't want to write a check for a car. I wanted to have the cash put aside so that...
No, I don't understand that, actually. I don't understand that. You meet somebody in July, and instead of writing him out a check, because this is what the case is about, you meet somebody who's the neighbor of a friend of yours. He says, I'm in the business of buying and selling used cars. I could help you find a car. So instead of that person saying, well, this is somebody that I just met, I'm giving him $1,500 as a down payment to go and look for a car. I think I'll give it to him in cash. So gives him $1,500 in cash. Don't show me a receipt. A receipt is without value to me. I could write a receipt for anything. You get a receipt, you tear it off. A receipt is a nothing. Now, I would like to see where you deposited the check in your bank for $3,000 last July. Okay? Okay, well, this is a $4,000 deposit.
Yes. I didn't have a job at the time, and my brother sent me a check for $4,000. $3,000 was to be for a car for my daughter, and the other $1,000 was to be...
What did you withdraw the $4,000 for?
Because I'm honestly not good at keeping records, and I wanted to be sure that that money was put aside specifically for her to have a car, and I didn't know if she was going to need to put it in her account, so I just put it aside.
Now, what's John and Kira's telephone number?
I don't know their number.
Well, let's get it, and when you get it, we'll come back.
I mean, I have it in my phone. Would you like me to get it?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's 8026.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yes, I felt bad, and I took it back to
I
help
don't
her.
care whether you felt bad. Your feelings are irrelevant to me. Dr. Phil maybe cares about your feelings. I have no care about your feelings.
And later today,
What's with the attitude? I don't understand your attitude.
I don't have an attitude.
You want me to play back the tape?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Leanne Dunnigan and her daughter Sarah claim Sean Holmes scammed them on a car deal.
Now, I spoke to your brother, John, who was understandably recognized the raspy New York accent, who ultimately verified that he had sent you the check. He said that he was impressed with the fact that your daughter, who had been working, wanted to go to school and would not be able to do that easily because you only had one car, and he was more than happy to help. He sounds like a very nice man.
Yes.
So this is what happened. You gave Mr. Holmes $1,500. He said, I will get you a car. He gave you a car, and it broke down that day. You had given him an additional $1,500, correct?
Yes.
So now you had a total of $3,000. She brought back the car to you immediately, and you said, I'll find you another one.
May I say something, ma'am?
What?
When the car had broke down, I didn't find out it had broken down until I had gotten home and found the car in my driveway. She had it towed to my house. Then at that time I called her.
I don't care.
I understand.
Right now, they don't have a car, and they don't have their $3,000.
The deal's as is, and I felt bad because of the situation.
Well,
I wouldn't want
you're going
someone
to
do that
feel
to me.
worse.
I wouldn't
You're
want
going to
someone
feel
do that
worse
to me
because it's not as is, because what you said to them was, give me the car, I'll find you another one.
Right.
And you didn't find them another one that they liked. So you have their $3,000 and they have no car.
Yes, I felt bad and I took it back to
I
help
don't
her.
care whether you felt bad. Your feelings are irrelevant to me. Dr. Phil may not care about your feelings. They have no car, and you have their $3,000. What did you do with their $3,000?
I spent a lot of time looking for cars. I get paid for my research.
Just a second. You don't get paid for your research. They didn't retain you for your research, sir.
They retained me to find her a car.
They didn't retain you for your research. They retained you to get them a car.
Right.
Which you didn't
there's time and,
do.
And there's time and labor. And each car I got her, I detailed every car to get ready for her. So she didn't pick them up. I still did that as well.
Mr. Holmes, show me the contract where you have an hourly rate for your research and your detailing or anything. Show me.
Well, you have to get a car. How do you get a car? You have to go out and do it. It's your time to do it as well.
Just a second. Show me.
I have pictures of the cars.
No, show me an arrangement you had with her to pay you an hourly wage for looking. Of course not. Of course not. You're ridiculous. Just for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I spent months looking for a car, detailing them, getting them ready.
It's been very frustrating.
Being harassed at Sunday evening, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night.
I've been very patient with him.
Cussing at me, waking my children up.
I never once cussed him out.
Nice people finish last. That's all I can say. It's a joke.
I don't know what to say. He's just not what I thought he was.
Parties in the matter of Justice versus Bird. Step forward.
Candy Justice is suing her ex-girlfriend, Shira Bird, for a fraudulent check she cashed on her behalf and the return of a bike.
How long have you known each other?
About 13, 14 years.
Just as from the neighborhood, friends, school?
No, we used to date.
For how long?
A year.
In the beginning?
Yes.
But not now?
No.
Remain friends, I assume?
Yes.
So far, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you got a check.
Yes.
Where did you get the check from?
It was mailed to me from the mystery shoppers online. I was looking for employment online, and I signed up.
So you signed up to do some work at home?
Yes.
On the computer?
Yes.
You submitted a timesheet? How does it work? I want you to explain it to me.
Well, they give you names of places to go, and it's like customer service. You check their customer service, and you write down the name, the address of where you went, and the person who helped you. And you fax the form in to you, and they in return send you a check.
So they tell you to go into a store. You go into a store. You get the name of the salesperson.
Yes.
And then you just fill out the form and send it to them.
Yes. Well, I make a purchase, and, you know, act like a normal shopper.
Okay, so they send you a check, but you had no place to cash that check.
Yes, correct.
So you gave it to Miss Justice and asked her if she would cash it for you, and ultimately you got the entire amount of money. How much?
$19.75.
But the check turned out to be bad.
Yes.
She wants the money back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You took care of your expenses.
Sure did.
With her money. You thought it was your money.
Sure did. It was.
I know that you have attitude. Let's see if you have a brain.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Candy Justice says ex-girlfriend Shira Bird owes for a fraudulent check and a bike. Shira is countersuing for storage fees.
Now, she wants the money back.
I don't owe her anything.
Of course you do. You owe her at least $19.75.
That's like me calling you saying you owe me money and you just gonna fork over the money without seeing proof?
What?
I haven't seen any proof of anything.
Just a second. You just acknowledged to me what happened, Miss Bird. You just told me what happened.
Yes, I did.
So what do you mean you need proof? You just told me. I believe you. I believe you. I believe you that you got a check from this online company for whatever nonsense you did for them, that you didn't have a way of cashing the check, so you gave it to your friend, and she cashed it for you. You got the money, all of which you just told me happened, and the so what do you mean you haven't seen any proof?
So when the check is bad and it comes back to your bank that you bank with and you have an issue, you show the person that owes you the money.
Oh, you mean you just want to see a statement from the bank saying that the check was bad?
No, not really, because I've loaned her money on top of that.
No. I don't have that here. Listen, I don't have that here. Now, what kind of proof do you want to see?
Something. I feel personally, I don't owe her anything.
Can I just see the bank statement indicating that the check was a bad check? What's with the attitude? I don't understand your attitude.
I don't have an attitude.
Well, you want me to play back the tape?
No, it's not necessary.
That's attitude.
Just a facial expression.
Would you show her this so that she is aware of it?
And it's supposed to be proof?
It's not supposed to be proof. It is proof. Now, there came a time when she told you that she was advised by the bank that the check was a fraudulent.
I want to say about 6 days after.
And
the check cleared the next day. Her bank cleared the check.
I understand.
And she went back to the bank and got the money.
And gave it to you.
I met her at the bank.
And gave it to you.
So if the bank
No. And gave you the money.
Yeah. But then you called me.
Miss Bird, I want you to try.
You called me 3-4 days later talking about the check is fraudulent, but your bank clears the check.
Let me explain to you that if they're going to cut off somebody's mic, it's not going to be mine. They paid me too much money. I know that you have attitude. Let's see if you have a brain.
No, I don't have an attitude.
See this? These are the two of you. This right here is the bad check. You gave her this bad check, which was your bad check, your problem. She took it, cashed it for you. She gave you the money. So now you have the money. What did you do with the money? You bought new shoes. Maybe you bought new underwear. Maybe you bought an
my son
iPad.
Is graduating.
Maybe you paid your rent.
Dues.
Whatever you did, you took care of your expenses.
Sure did.
With what turned out to be her money. They took the money out of her bank because it was a bad check. You thought it was your money.
Sure did. It was.
Are you not understanding?
I understand.
Okay. So, which means you got snookered by a company. You can't visit that on her. But you got the money. She's out the money. So you have to give her back the money. It's that simple. It's not hard. Now, you have a bicycle at her house?
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't want it there anymore.
And she could pay me for storage for it being there as well.
She's not going to pay you for storage because she had no contract for storage. Are you trying to talk over me again?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Irritated, itchy summer skin? Count on Cortisone 10 with the strongest non-prescription itch medicine for fast relief and 7 moisturizers. Cortisone 10. Feel the heal.
Still suffering from toe fungus?
And athlete's foot.
Then you need Fungi Nail Toe and Foot. Its moisture block technology locks in the medicine and keeps moisture out. Nail it with Fungi Nail.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, she's not going to pay you for storage because you didn't have a contract with her for storage.
I have a verbal contract.
No, you have a verbal contract in here, in your counterclaim.
Yeah,
you say if she wants her bike back and she wants her money back, she's got to pay me for storing that bike.
Right.
That's not a contract.
Well, that's why
Go to
she
law
ain't got her
school.
bike back.
First college, then law school.
So she ain't got her bike back. That's why.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1975. Go and pick up the bicycle with a marshal within 5 days. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She called me and told me she needed the money back because the bank said the check was fraud.
It didn't clear. The bank contacted me 6 days after.
Showed me the evidence. What anybody would say.
And told me that it was a fraudulent check.
I got her being sued. I'm here.
She just was like, well, I don't owe you anything. And then stop answering the phone.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter, Hammonds versus LeBleu. Step forward.
John Hammonds is suing his friend's estranged wife, Paula LeBleu, for stealing an insurance check that was meant for him.
Your last name is?
LeBleu.
LeBleu. Okay. Mr. LeBleu, the defendant is your former wife.
Yes.
When were you divorced?
We're in the proceedings of divorce currently.
The divorce has not been finalized.
It has not been finalized.
Has the division of property been established?
Yes.
And when was that accomplished? I'll ask your wife. She'll remember.
We're 2011.
What did you get?
Mostly just furnishings and car.
What kind of car?
Volkswagen.
And this was in 2011? Mm-hmm. And what did Mr. LeBleu get?
He took the truck and his
He took a
belongings
truck?
and a bedroom set, you know, and furniture.
Bedroom
too.
set. How long were you married?
12 years.
You have children?
No.
So that was easy. You divided up the property. You kept one car, he kept the truck, you took some furniture, he took some furniture. This is what the case is about. Mr. Hammonds got stuck between you and your ex-husband, almost ex-husband, because Mr. LeBleu was in an accident with the truck. When were you in the accident, sir?
It was May 31st, 2014.
And you were in the accident.
Yes.
Insurance company came. They came to your shop?
Yes.
Because that's where the car was either towed or driven.
Yes.
They assessed the damage, and they said that they would fix the truck to this extent, monetarily. What extent?
Well, there's two insurances on the front. This is a different case, but when they finally agreed to repair the back, the total estimate that I have was for $3,800.
From which insurance company?
It's Korea Claims I have, but I believe it's Amica uses Korea Claims.
And you fixed the truck?
Yes.
So you performed your service?
Right.
And you picked up the truck?
Yep.
The check went to her?
Correct.
And she kept the check? And that's why we're here?
Yeah.
You can't keep the check! What's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard? You gave him the truck as part of a settlement. You took the Volkswagen 2 years ago. What possible right do you think you have to keep the insurance money from Mr. Hammonds, who fixed the truck?
Well,
Just give me the answer.
I don't have one.
You sure don't. You got to give him the money back. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Siblings fight their dead sister's neighbor.
The house looks like it's been ransacked. There's a lot of items missing.
Are you suggesting they just went through the house and stole items from the house?
In a sense.
Next Judge Judy.
My husband, Tom, did a lot of the work, and I was asking John what was owed. And
We texted for months and months, and
I asked for a bill several times, but he didn't want to produce it, so
kept putting me off, kind of just blew me off.
it is what it is.
I'm a small business. I needed
Just send the insurance, the person the check.
the insurance check because I did the repairs on their vehicle.
That's it.
For my lesson.
Your sister became ill with brain cancer. The defendant disposed of some of your sister's property.
Siblings fight their dead sister's neighbor.
Mr. Ricks had a yard sale.
The house looks like it's been ransacked. There's a lot of items missing.
Your sister was alive then?
Yes.
What does it have to do with you? It's her stuff.
And no one's left to defend him.
Are you suggesting they just went through the house and stole items from the house?
In a sense.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Andrea Lewis and her brother Ralph Sutter are suing their late sister's neighbor, Jack Ricks, for the value of their sister's belongings he's sold without permission.
Order. All rise. That's case number 615 on the calendar, the matter of Lewis Sutter versus Ricks. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Mr. Ricks, how long had you been a neighbor to the plaintiff's sister?
We moved there in 2007, so it was about 10 years.
Were you neighbors?
Yes, they lived across the street from us.
And you remained friends?
Yes, we did.
Would you say you were good friends with their sister?
We were good friends, yes.
How far did you live apart from each other?
It was across the street.
Up until?
2007.
What happened in 2007?
We moved to another city, about 10, 15 miles away.
This is your claim. Your sister became ill with brain cancer. And it is your claim that the defendant, without authorization from anybody, disposed of some of your sister's property, and you want him to pay you $5,000. Mr. Ricks has a counterclaim because he's so outraged at really just the accusation that he said that amounts in itself to almost harassment. When did your sister become ill?
It was in September of 2008. It started with breast cancer. It metastasized.
And she passed away in January?
January 21st of this year.
And you knew that Mr. Ricks and you lived with Mr. Costello?
Yes.
And Mr. Costello were friends of your sister's?
Yes. Can I correct that? It was actually September of 2009 is when she was diagnosed with cancer.
And you don't live in the same city?
Not even in the same
state. So they were your sister's friends?
Correct.
Correct. And you have no idea what conversations your sister had with Mr. Ricks?
No.
You have no idea?
That's correct.
You live in another state. You have no idea what conversations she had, because at some point it was decided that she would come and spend her last period of time with you. Both of you, or who? Which one?
With me.
With you. So you went to pick her up, and she lives in what state?
Georgia.
And you live in?
Baltimore, Maryland.
And when did you bring her to your house?
September 10th
of what year?
2014.
And at the time that you came to bring her to your house, your last name is Lewis?
Sutter.
Sutter. Mr. Sutter, at the time you came to bring her to your house, I assumed that you all assumed that she would be, as you said, hospicing there, that she would not be returning home, correct?
To some degree, to get her out the door.
Well, that's what you said in your complaint, that you brought her to hospice at your home because she needed someone to care for her.
Yes, sir.
And it would be easier if you didn't do it in a long-distance fashion. Now, from 2009, when she was diagnosed with cancer, until 2014, who took care of her?
She took care of herself.
Well, but she was sick during that time.
Her daughter assisted with that.
What?
Her daughter was assisting with care for her.
So she had a daughter, and her daughter was assisting with care. It would be a fair statement that there were times that Mr. Ricks and Mr. Costello spelled her. Be a fair statement, Mr. Ricks? So you have absolutely no idea what instructions your sister gave to Mr. Ricks or Mr. Costello before she was leaving her home to go in hospice and probably not be returning to her own home. You have no idea their private conversations. Mr. Ricks had a yard sale.
Correct.
He says that had been discussed.
Correct.
With whom?
With Cindy and her daughter. They were the ones that gave us the code after they left the house so we could get in and sell the things.
Cindy is the deceased sister.
Yeah.
Now, when you had the yard sale, Mr. Ricks, I've read your answer. At that time, Cindy was already at her brother's house.
Correct, Your Honor.
What did you do with the money that you got from the yard sale?
We sent it in a money order to Cindy in Baltimore.
At her brother's house?
Correct. We have a copy of the...
I'd like to see it.
Can I say something about the money order? Can I say something about the money order?
Of course.
So when my husband and I, this is kind of jumping ahead, but when we had gone down on November 11th, found the condition of the home, Ralph got in touch with Jay. What's going on? Andrea's there. The house looks like it's been ransacked. There's a lot of items missing. This is not what we had discussed. That Jay, when he showed up a couple hours later, was in the living room, but it was at their home. He brought it over, and he said, oh, I had no idea you were coming. I just mailed a check yesterday. And my husband was a witness to that. So time goes by. We don't get that. We don't get that money order. And initially he had said he had sent $600. You can see it's $500. We wound up, because I have the envelope that has the postage date. It was November 24th.
Just a second. Your sister was alive then?
Yes.
What does it have to do with you? It's her stuff.
Because
has nothing to do with you.
She was
has nothing to do with you. Unless you have a signed power of attorney for her in November.
In September, he was made power of attorney.
I'd like to see the power of attorney. Okay. This was on October 4th of 2014.
That's correct.
Okay. And when did you conduct this yard sale?
It was either the end of August or the beginning of September. It was after Cindy had left to move to Baltimore. And when Andrea and Ralph told us not to do it anymore, we stopped and sent the money up at some point in the future.
We have texts that said that they had a yard sale in October.
You told me that she moved in with you on September 10th, 2014.
Right. He's saying the end of August as he had a yard sale. She was still in the home. Her home was still, he had gone down there. Her home was still intact.
It was after Cindy moved that we had the garage sale. I'm not sure of the date, but I know it was after she moved because she was not there when we had the sales.
Okay.
I can mention one date, please? So October 10th, Jack and Jay had come through town and brought some of her stuff up, her Christmas tree and whatnot, and I took them out to dinner. We go to the restaurant, and sitting with them, Cindy made it very clear in my presence that she wanted to go back down and that I was also encouraging it to give her a carrot at the end of a stick to, like, live for in December. If she makes it to December, we'll go to your house and we'll visit it and get your stuff, more of your stuff that she liked. She liked to collect knickknacks and collectibles and all these things that she wanted to get back with her stuff. So said yes to them and made it clear to Jack and Jay.
I mean, they had been friends of your sister's for a very, very long time. And they were clearly people who cared for her because, based upon what you told me, they drove up to see her because she wanted her Christmas tree. Are you suggesting that what they did was they just went through the house and stole items from the house? Is that what you're saying?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
These people acted like vultures after your sister died or when she was no longer there and took her stuff and sold it without her permission and kept everything for themselves. Is that what you're suggesting?
And later today,
you're uncomfortable about taking money from your father. You're uncomfortable about taking money from Ismail, who's still your friend. But you're perfectly comfortable being uncomfortable about taking money from Tosh, who you have nothing to do with anymore.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Andrea Lewis and her brother Ralph Sutter claimed their late sister's neighbor, Jack Ricks, sold their sister's belongings without their permission. Jack has a countersuit for emotional distress.
Now, is that what you're suggesting? That these people who had been friendly with your sister for almost 20 years, who you clearly relied on, as did she and her daughter, to assist them when they needed an extra set of hands because you weren't in the same state, that these people acted like vultures after your sister died or when she was no longer there and went and took her stuff and sold it without her permission and kept everything for themselves. Is that what you're suggesting?
In a sense.
Well, so really prove to me every single item that you think, and I'm not talking about the stuff that was sold here, because unless you kept a record. Did you keep a record of what this was for? So tell me, what items do you think that Mr. Ricks stole from your sister?
We have photographs and lists and
text from them on what they had permission to get, which was the sofa set.
I'm not talking about what they had permission to get. Your sister clearly gave them permission to get a sofa for some items of furniture. I'm not talking about that. They clearly acknowledged that they had a yard sale and sold other stuff, for which they sent $500, and I assume somebody, either you or your sister, cashed that money order. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so those items are gone, and he doesn't know exactly what items were contained in that yard sale. When they were advised not to get rid of any more of the property, they didn't conduct another yard sale. Is that correct?
That's correct, because we did not have a way to get into the house.
You tell me what items you are alleging were items that were not sold in the yard sale and that they stole from your sister's house.
Okay, the washer and dryer was gone. Cindy had a huge music library that she had bequeathed to me when she passed. She didn't.
What happened to the music library?
I believe it was sold.
She had about 275 albums, stereo.
What else?
All kinds of little stuff. A lot of her clothes was missing. Those were the main items, though, I'll say, Judy.
Those two items?
Those were the main items.
And what about the washer and dryer?
That was sold.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm sure. We sold it for $150.
I didn't even know that. And so the main thing is Cindy wanted to go back to her home. The whole reason we got her to Baltimore is because she had no one there to care for her any longer. Her daughter was leaving the country. And so it was always under the guise of, you'll be able to go back to your home. She wanted to go back home, so she still wanted all her home there to go back to. There was not a yard sale. She did not. We still paid the mortgage, the utilities on the house.
I'm not satisfied that he's a thief. And I'm not satisfied that at some point in her conversation with him that she didn't say, have a yard sale. And you told him, don't have any more yard sales because I'm going to be going home. He said, I won't. You know, just give me that instruction. And he did send funds, which you cashed. You or your sister?
My sister, Cindy.
Cindy cashed it?
Yeah.
So the text he sent, though, about the yard sale was actually around November 1st, saying they'd had a yard sale.
Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It broke her heart that they did this to her home.
In my entire life, I've never been accused of anything so vile.
They took advantage of the situation.
Cindy and her daughter gave us
permission. At least wait till they die.
Cindy's memory will always be special.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sosa versus Renard. Step forward.
Natasha Sosa is suing her ex-boyfriend, Roman Renard, for an unpaid loan after his truck was repossessed.
Mr. Renard, I'm going to start with you, sir. You and Miss Sosa had a brief relationship.
Yes.
You've known each other for a long time. But according to what I read, you dated seriously for about 6 months. Is that right?
Just dated.
Serious for her?
Yes.
And while you were in this non-serious for you, but serious for her period of time, you had some financial setbacks, and your truck was being repossessed.
Yes.
So you wanted to prevent your truck being repossessed.
Yes.
Well, how did Miss Sosa find out about your financial trouble?
Well, she knew about...
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay.
Because I've only just met you.
Yes, no problem.
And I wouldn't ordinarily know that you had a truck repossession problem unless you told me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So at some point in this non-serious relationship, from your perspective, more serious from the plaintiff's perspective, either the truck company told her that you were having troubles or you told her?
No, I told her.
All right, so let's not say she knew.
Actually, I was at a friend's house when my truck got repossessed, and that's when I told her.
Was she with you?
No.
So you're at your friend's house, truck is repossessed. How did you communicate to her that your truck was repossessed?
Me and her talked and...
Truck is repossessed.
Yes.
You're at your friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
Did you call her? Because I can see that I'm going to have to spoon feed you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You stopped paying her the money because she was harassing you for...
For her money?
The money!
Yeah.
You're an idiot. You really are an idiot.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Natasha Sosa claims ex-boyfriend Roman Renard owes for the money she loaned him after his truck was repossessed.
Now, did you call her from your friend's house?
Yes.
How soon after the truck was repossessed did you call her from your friend's house?
It was a few hours. That's when I called her.
A few hours. But you remained at your friend's house?
I was getting a ride from my other friend.
To where?
Back to my house.
Did you call her from the ride or did you call her from the friend's house?
I called her from the ride.
Where was she?
At the time, I believe she was... I do not recall.
Do you recall?
Yeah, it was November 26, 2013.
And how much money did you need to get your truck back from impound?
I believe it was $21 and some change.
$2,100?
Yes.
Now, when you told Miss Sosa about your troubles, do you remember the conversation? It was a while ago.
Yes, I do remember.
I'd like to hear it.
Well, I let her know that I was...
Not let her know.
Okay.
I don't want you to let her know what she knew. Strike that from your vocabulary. I want to know what you said to her.
I told her.
I got on the phone and say, hi, what's your first name?
Natasha.
Is that what you call her?
Tosh.
Tosh, it's me. I'm on my way home. They just repossessed my truck. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Right now, you are in a bind. Had you called anyone else before you called Tosh?
Yes. I called my father.
You called your father, and you said, Dad, it's me. What's your name?
Roman.
Roman, I'm in trouble. They just repossessed my truck. I need $2,200. Can you help me out? And your father said?
No.
No.
Well, okay.
And who else did you call?
I called a buddy of mine because I needed a
buddy,
ride.
whose name is?
His name is actually Ismail.
And you said, Ismail, it's me, Roman. They just repoed my truck. I need $2,200. Can you help me out? And Ismail asked Ismail for money?
No.
Did you ask your father for money?
No.
I don't believe that you didn't ask your father for money.
I would never ask my father for money.
Really?
I didn't even ask Tasha for money.
I'm just curious. You mean you made all these phone calls being all kinds of aggravated, and you didn't say to your father, is there any way that you can help me get my truck?
No, I tried to handle my business on my own.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is your friend Ismail still your friend?
Yes.
And your father still your father?
Yes.
Right? You love your father?
Yes, I do.
So you wouldn't take money from either one of them?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Closed captioning sponsored by. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you have a casual, non-exclusive, transient relationship with Tosh, who's on her way to work, according to you, when you called her, as opposed to you, who was on your way home to take a nap. And her, you were very comfortable taking money from.
No, I was not comfortable taking money.
Well, so you were uncomfortable taking money from her.
Yes, I very much was.
But you took it.
Well, you know what?
You were just a second. Let me understand this. You're uncomfortable about taking money from Ismail, who's still your friend, but you're perfectly comfortable being uncomfortable about taking money from Tosh, who you have nothing to do with anymore. I'm just trying to clarify this.
Okay.
Right? Now, how much money did you pay her back for this uncomfortable feeling?
And in order just to get her...
How much money did you pay her back for this uncomfortable feeling?
About $1,300.
Now, at some point, you stop paying her back money.
Yes.
See how we're going to make this, Mr. Renard, we're going to make this much easier for me and more difficult for you. Now, you stopped paying her money. Did you stop paying her money because she told you to forget it?
Because she kept harassing me.
Just a second. Did you... I asked you a question. I said, did you stop paying her money because she said to forget it? The answer would be no.
Okay.
You stopped paying her the money because she was harassing you for...
For her money?
The money!
Yeah.
You're an idiot. You really are an idiot. I mean, how long have you been around so that you had the ability, Roman, to watch this program?
Here and there.
Here and there. Did you think that I was going to be different?
No, I'm not worried about that.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of...
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Lots of heat building across the nation, and some of that's going to be coming right in New England. In fact, we may have the hottest part of the whole summer coming up in the next several days. Will there be any thunderstorms to go along with that?
WBZ News at 5 is next.
It was a gift, and once we split up, it was, when you going to pay me back?
If you want to call picking up the phone to say, hey, I need the money that I originally loaned you back, harassment, then you call it harassment.
Dude, just to get you off of my back, I'm going to pay you something just to get rid of you and out of my hair.
But I call it just trying to ask for my money back.
Squeezed by their cash flow.
We argued constantly about the lack of money he gave me for bills.
That's what either married couples or non-married couples very often fight about, is money.
Then the battle.
You were arrested on an assault charge. Miss Thomas was the complainant in that case.
Over their fight.
She actually bailed me out. It was Dion's money. It wasn't my money.
Well, if it was Dion's money, what are you suing him for?
Yeah.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people, our rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Tanya Thomas,
is suing her ex-boyfriend, Orrin Davis, for stealing her TVs, an unpaid traffic ticket, and a bail bond.
Order. All rise. Now, it's case number 24 on the calendar, the matter of Thomas versus Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Thomas, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together as a couple for 7 years. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you live in your home that was in your name or in a joint home?
Apartment in my name.
Is that an apartment that you moved into together?
No, ma'am.
How long had you been living there?
Currently 15 years. We've lived there 7 years.
And for the past 7 years that you were living together, who did you work for?
Crowley Independent School District.
And what about you, sir?
I had 2 jobs while I was living with her.
Okay,
for
so
Trinity Towers and currently for Machine.
And tell me, Mr. Davis, how did you apportion the bills in your house? Did you have a joint bank account?
No, ma'am.
You had your bank account and
Yes.
you had yours?
I had one. He didn't have one.
So what did he do? He gave you his paycheck to put into the...
No.
How did you handle the finances?
I paid most of the bills, and occasionally he gave me money.
If he was working?
He didn't give me money on a regular basis for bills. We argued constantly about the lack of money he gave me for bills.
Okay, well, that's what either married couples or non-married couples very often fight about, is money.
Yes.
But you stayed together for 7 years and you lived together as a couple.
Yes.
And now what you're expecting me to do is to figure out after 7 years what property belongs to you and what property belongs to him after 7 years. That's not going to happen. The only thing I am going to consider, because you say when he left, you told him to leave, you got fed up with him, told him to leave, he left, and when he left, he took a couple of things that belonged to you, including 2 television sets. And he said he took what belonged to him, he said they were his, and he left. Did you take any other furniture other than the television sets?
No, Your Honor.
And how big is this apartment?
2-bedroom.
Does it have beds in both bedrooms?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has living room couch?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has table and chairs to eat on?
Yes.
You left all of those things?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Also, I left computers and...
Okay. I'm not dealing with that stuff and making a determination as to, after a 7-year relationship, who bought what and under what circumstances.
Your Honor, that stuff was there when he got there.
Do you understand?
I do.
No. One of the televisions was not there when he got there.
No, but I had...
But one of the televisions was not there when he got there, so don't say they...
In their spot. We upgraded as a couple.
That's correct. You upgraded as a couple, and I'm not getting into it.
And he...
Understand, I'm not getting into it.
But one of them, I still owe on it. He has the television, but yet I still owe on it.
I'm not getting into it. The only thing I'm entertaining is the bond, sir.
Okay.
Let's get to the bond. You were arrested on an assault charge. I assume, from reading the complaint and the answer, that Miss Thomas was the complainant in that case.
Yes, and also her daughter, both.
And what year was that?
2011.
And when did you move out, finally, of the house?
April 4th, 2015.
So after this problem that you had with Miss Thomas and her daughter, you continued to live as a couple?
Yes, Your Honor.
So she allowed you to move back?
Yes, Your Honor. She actually bailed me out.
I understand that. That's what this is about.
He paid for it. I just signed for it. It was his money, but all I did, because he was incarcerated and I was the one on the outside, so I went to the Bellsbaum and gave them the money. It was Dion's money. It wasn't my money.
Well, if it was Dion's money, what are you suing him for?
Yeah.
Because it's in my name, and they have my truck as collateral. And when I talked to the lady, I have the injury.
Used his money to bail him out, but you needed more money?
I needed collateral.
Okay. And the collateral you put up was your truck?
I didn't have a choice, yes.
I just answered my question.
Yes.
And you've been paying on that, Mr. Davis, is that correct?
I stopped paying once I found out she just fabricated half of the story. So I only paid half the money.
When was the last time you made a payment on the bond?
February 2015.
You have to finish paying your bond. You don't have to return any property to her, but you have to finish paying for your bond. Your bond, your problem.
But she made up most of it, half of it.
I don't care if she made up some of it, but this much was true. Do you understand, Mr. Davis?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
If this much was true, then it's your bad, your problem, your bond. By the way, just for my own information, sir, what happened with that case?
It was over in 30 days. It was over before the no contact.
What happened to it? Did you...
Okay.
Did you plead guilty to any offense?
I pled no contest.
That's guilty?
Yes.
Fine. How much is left on his bond?
$725.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $725.
Your Honor, I have an invoice here from Cons, and it shows that I owe $1,600 for the TV that he has in his possession. Pay for it.
I give her the money. I give her the receipts.
I can show you invoices where I paid for it.
Ms. Thomas.
I have to have something. I have to have the TV, or he has the bill. Give him this bill. But why is it fair for me to have both?
I paid for
$1,600 and I don't have a TV to show for it.
Miss Thomas, do you have a sofa?
I do have a sofa, but I had a sofa when he moved into my apartment with my children.
You've lived together. Listen to me. You've lived together for 7 years.
That's
right.
You've
shared. Listen to
I
me.
had everything in my apartment. He walked in with 2 Walmart bags.
No.
That's it.
No, Your Honor.
Listen, Your Honor, please.
I paid for those TVs.
Please look at this invoice. It's an open invoice. I still owe on this. I have to make a payment day after tomorrow on the 3rd of each month. How is that fair for he to come into my house? We buy a TV. He leave with the TV and leave with me. Well, if he paid for it, he's saying that he's paying. Got the receipt. Your Honor, he's telling you that he paid for it. Make him finish paying for it. Since he has the TV.
Items on that account.
Just a second.
Okay.
Mr. Davis, you said you paid for that TV.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me how you paid for it.
Initially, she come to me after work and said she wants a front load of washer and dryer. I said, okay, so she goes to Cons to get it, which they finance. I said, well, this TV we got here is kind of dark. Can I get another one? You'll be responsible for paying for it. So every month, for 20 months, I paid $230. That includes the principal of $2,500 plus finance charge and interest. So I feel that I'm fully paid.
Just a second. Every month, for how many months?
20 months.
You paid how much for the TV?
$230.
And did she buy the washer and dryer at the same time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Goodbye.
I don't understand.
Parties are excused. May step out.
How dare you freaking lie? You going to hell. I swear you are.
I'll meet you there. Because she's sitting up, she's lying and cheating.
He did what he always do, and that's lie.
She's a lying cheater. No good lie.
And he moved out while I was gone.
Sit up there and say...
And took my property behind my back.
I was running around chasing him with a bat and all this kind of stuff.
We had a life together.
And chasing her and the kids and a dog with a bat.
I thought that it was a mistake that we could overcome.
Man, I ain't got no bat.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nash versus King. Step forward.
Cheryl Nash is suing Stacey King for victims and lost wages resulting from a botched dog adoption.
All right, Miss Nash, you had 2 dogs. You decided to get rid of one of the dogs. We'll get to why in a minute. And put an ad on Craigslist. The defendant answered the ad. She liked the dog. You liked her. You said fine for a while. And then for one reason or another, which she's going to tell me, she decided she could no longer take care of the dog. So she gave it to a shelter. You were trolling some site, I don't know what site you were trolling, and you found your dog that you had given to her on a kill list at the shelter. And you went, you retrieved the dog, found the dog in emaciated, terrible health, required $1,100 worth of veterinary care to bring back to health, and you want the defendant to be responsible for the money that you spent to bring your dog back to health. Ms. King says you actually gave her a dog that you knew was trouble. She tried for a long time to get the dog healthy and fit. When she could no longer do that, she's a single mom who's struggling. She didn't have the money to do that. She turned the dog over to a shelter, and she says she was assured by the shelter that the dog would be rehomed, which, of course, it was not. That's your defense. Now, you had 2 dogs, and what I gather from reading your complaint, the dog that you ultimately gave away was a 5-year-old Dachshund mix.
Correct.
That you had had for how long?
4 years.
And the other dog that you had was only a 1-year-old dog.
Right.
That was a pit bull.
Correct. But we had her for 2 years by the time that we rehomed the dachshund, Jude.
Why did you make the decision this is long?
We had 2 cats that I had had longer, both rescues, that I'd had before either dog. And Jude, because he was half dachshund, had an urge to chase them. So we had to keep him separated, and I'd created a separate home environment for him. And when she brought the pit bull home, the dogs cohabitated there for the protection of the cats. And the dogs did fine initially, but the dachshund started getting more and more aggressive around his food bowl when the pit bull came around, and they would occasionally have a scuffle. And it was just going to be a matter of time before one was going to get hurt. And Jude just wanted to be a lap dog. We just decided that it was going to be in both of their best interests to have a new home.
But I'm asking you, you had your dog, which was the dachshund, for 4 years.
Right.
The pit bull was your daughter's dog.
Right.
So I just don't understand.
There wasn't an urgent need to rehome them. We were looking for the perfect home for him so that he could be not confined and be a part of the family, be a lap dog, which is how he would be in my home if I didn't have the cats or if my mother wasn't living there.
Well, but
and he is there now.
If I were taller, I would have been a runway model.
Right. But we were only putting the feelers out to see if we could find the perfect home for him.
What made you think that the defendant was a perfect home?
Her text messages to me indicated that she had a home with a large backyard, and she and her 14-year-old daughter and her husband had just recently lonesome, so she was looking for a companion dog. She indicated that there was somebody home all the time, so he would get a lot of attention, and I told her, you know, that we were looking for the perfect home for him that had no other pets, where he could be the only dog so that he could just be part of the family.
Okay, so what happened, Ms. King?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We have a text exchange where she agreed to provide him a good home.
Yeah, we did.
I don't care.
But she didn't turn him to a shelter. She reported him as a sick stray in her backyard.
And later today,
she bought $10,000 worth of tickets. You pay her by check for the tickets. This year you didn't pay her. So you either had a different agreement with her or you owe her the money. Which one is it?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Cheryl Nash says Stacy King owes for vet bills and lost wages resulting from a botched dog adoption. Stacy is countersuing for harassment.
So what happened, Ms. King?
She brought the dog. I loved him. And she gave me the belongings that he had, and she left. And we had him all the way from July to December, and we seen that he was digging holes. So he was getting out, but he was coming like around the other side to come home. So that's when he was getting sick. He was coming in the house. He got a hold to some trash. I'm a low-income mother. I couldn't afford to take him to the vet.
Okay, so that your answer, Ms. King, was incorrect. She did not give you a sick dog. The dog got sick while the dog was in your home. You may not have been able to afford to take the dog to the vet. I understand that. But your answer then is incorrect. She gave you a healthy dog.
At first, yes.
Okay, fine. Ms. Nash, it's a very easy answer. She doesn't have a contractual obligation to you at all.
Well, we have a text exchange where she agreed to provide him a good home.
And we did.
I don't care. She doesn't have a contractual obligation to you whatsoever to pay you the vet bills that you assumed on your own to take care of the animal that you had for 4 years.
Right.
There's no theory in the law that permits me to hold her responsible for that.
But she did
none whatsoever. There is no theory in the law that allows me to do that. You chose to give the dog away to rehome the dog. You always hope that the home is a good one. You keep your fingers crossed and you say, I hope they all get along and everything else. Even if she had done something purposefully to the dog, which clearly she did not. She was just overwhelmed and she couldn't afford to care for the dog.
But she didn't turn him to a shelter. She reported him as a sick stray in her backyard.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
She doesn't owe you any money.
Correct.
You assumed the responsibility of caring for him. Do you still have him?
Yes.
Yes. Are they getting along better?
We actually rehomed the pit bull, and she has a fabulous home. And
great.
Because
so now
Jude
you
was
have
so
a lap
sick,
dog.
when he came back, he gets along with the cats now. So it's a happy ending for him.
That is a happy ending.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Happy ending, unhappy ending. Your happy ending is you'd have a lovely lap dog, right?
Right.
Dogs are going to be expensive, Miss King.
Yes.
And if you can't afford one, you shouldn't have one. Thank you. Your case is dismissed.
By the judge, you may step out.
She willfully abandoned him. He was half his weight.
Not a bad person. The dog just got sick.
When I found him at the shelter, he was sick and hypothermic.
I had no idea he was that sick.
All he needed was basic care to return back to health.
Like I said, that's why I tried to get him some help.
I had every expectation that she would give him at least basic care, and she didn't even do that.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ellis versus Johnson, step forward.
Travel agent Angela Ellis is suing Youth Foundation Director Rudolph Johnson Jr. for the unpaid balance of airline tickets.
Mr. Johnson, I'm going to start with you. What kind of a ball team do you take care of?
I created a travel ball team.
What kind of ball?
Basketball, I'm sorry.
Okay. And how long have you been traveling with this team? How many years?
Since 1995.
And how many years has Miss Ellen?
Around since 1998, if I'm correct.
When she provided the travel tickets for you and your team, did you always pay her?
Yes.
That's what this case is about. She said she bought tickets last year and you didn't pay her. Why?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
In the past, have you written the check for the tickets?
Yes.
What changed?
And this is the first year he ever did. Okay.
I'm asking him a question.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Travel agent Angela Ellis is suing Youth Foundation Director Rudolph Johnson Jr. for the unpaid balance of airline tickets.
Now, she bought the tickets, the team traveled, as has been from 1998. She's been buying the tickets. Last year, according to you, something was different, or did you have a financial problem?
I mean, of course I had a financial problem in that sense, but also I put her on the phone with potential sponsors, and the potential sponsors didn't fall through, you know, and I thought, you know, maybe that she felt that she would help my situation at this time because I'm in our relationship. She know how hard I had to work.
I don't think so.
I don't care what you thought. What you thought is irrelevant to her and what you thought is irrelevant to me. Did she meant to pay her as you had since 1998?
It was agreement that other people would pay her. That was
Just a second. In the past, have you written the check to pay her for the tickets?
Yes.
What changed? And don't tell me I thought, or do you just owe her the money?
And this is the first year he ever did. Okay.
I'm asking him a question.
I'm sorry.
I mean, there's really what you expect me to say?
I expect you to tell me the truth.
I
expect you to tell me the truth. I expect you. She's suing you. She bought $10,000 worth of tickets. She knows she's not going to get $10,000 from you because my maximum jurisdiction is $5,000. You've been working with her, with your team, since 1998. You pay her by check for the tickets. You probably get money from sponsors. You take that money from sponsors, and whatever it is, because this is a business for you, you pay her for the transportation. This year, you didn't pay her. So you either had a different agreement with her or you owe her the money. Which one is it?
It became a different agreement.
Well, tell me when the different agreement was made.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on.
Now, tell me when the different agreement was made.
When I had her on the phone with potential sponsors, and my potential sponsors didn't fall through. They told her to get the check to her to get her the money, and she basically knew how important it for us to make this trip. And, you know, I say it again. I mean, I thought I heard she say that she is sponsored.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy
It was just, like I said, it's a misunderstanding on my behalf.
I was contacting him. He was saying sponsors were going to give me a call.
But I did put her on the phone with the sponsors who said they would pay for the tickets.
Send me a payment check, and nothing came about.
But they didn't come through, so it's still my fault.
I understand his position, but he has to understand my position.
I wronged her in a sense.
This is a business that I'm running.
Because I depend on other people, and it didn't happen.
And I need to get paid for my business.
I hope we if possible, keep working together.
My business with him will be changing a little bit if I'm still doing business with him.
If not, I'm going to continue doing my work.
There'll be no advances at all.
I'm going to continue helping youngsters.
He assured me he could do a better job for less.
Roofing work gets complicated.
The job was not being done the way we discussed it.
She changed it. So I had to go back and pull him down to satisfy what she wanted.
Why didn't he finish the job?
It wasn't enough to keep the peace.
I need money to complete the job. I spent all of my money letting him try at it.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Deborah Borges is suing Philip Harris and his wife Kathy for property damage, unauthorized credit card charges, and the cost to finish a roof.
Order.
All rise. Yes, case number 596 on the calendar in the matter of Borges versus Harris.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Borges, I assume that this is your daughter, and Mr. and Mrs. Harris, I assume this is your son.
Yes.
I read your rather complex complaint with some interest, Ms. Borges. Let me see if I can piece it together. Your daughter and Mr. and Mrs. Harris's son were in a relationship and have 2 children. They are no longer in that relationship, and the relationship ended, I would assume, in an acrimonious way. According to you, Mr. Harris was not contributing to the support of his 2 children, your daughter and Mr. Harris and you, I assume. All of that is correct so far?
Yes, ma'am.
So what you decided to do was you decided to hire Mr. Harris's father to do some roof repair work on your house. And as one of the conditions of him doing the roof repair work on the house, you insisted that he hire his son so that his son would have some work and send money to your daughter for the support of the 2 children. So far, is that about right?
That was my understanding.
Okay. Well, you came up with a financial agreement. What was the financial agreement for the work that you wanted Mr. Harris to do?
Well, he knew that I had...
Don't tell me what he knew.
Okay.
You hire someone to do a roof job on your house.
Well, he just told me that he could do it for less.
For what? Not for
quality.
less. You had gotten estimates.
Yes, for $5,400 and $5,200.
And Mr. Harris said...
He assured me he could do a better job for less.
Fine. Well, that's what we call puffing. What figure did you come up with Mr. Harris?
We did not have a figure. He said that I would buy the materials.
No, I don't, Ms. Borges, I don't believe that. I mean, they're shaking their heads. I don't believe a lady like you goes into this operation who has already gotten 2 estimates without a figure from him as to what it was going to cost.
Can I say something?
Sure. You can stand up.
I was present when he had spoke to my mother about the figure, and he just assured her that it would be half the price of the quotes that she had gotten already.
Well, let's say half of $5,400 is $2,700, that he could do the job for $2,700. Now, he was going to do it himself, right?
Yes.
Was not. He was going to have people do it.
No.
Well,
he was up there.
Oh, no. Yes, he was going to have people do it because your mother said that he had people there working.
Yes, that he hired off the street.
I don't care.
Besides,
What difference does that make?
Well, they weren't initially...
He had workers. Now, how much money did you give him, Miss Borges, for the labor?
$3,810.
Did you give it to him in check or cash?
All in check except for one $300 ATM withdrawal
I'd like
and
to
an
see the
initial
checks.
$100 cash.
I'd like to see the checks. Who's Shelton?
His nephew. He was leaving town to go to North Carolina at the drop of a hat, and so he had him step in to finish the job.
Who had him step in to finish the job?
Philip Harris did.
Okay.
He's also one of my people that I had an estimate from.
Okay, now, so she paid you a lot of money. Now, what your complaint is that he damaged your property.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had to pay money to complete the roofing job.
I need money to complete the job.
What do you mean you need money to complete the job?
Because I spent all of my money on letting him try at it.
Not going to happen.
Thank you.
Ms. Borges, that's not going to happen. Okay. How much did you spend in materials in addition to these checks?
$3,029.22.
So far, according to your figure, you spent $6,810 on a roof that you had gotten an what?
For my materials. There were other things that were purchased.
No, what I'm asking you is, that's what you spent on materials, but you also said you gave him for labor, $3,810.
Yes.
So you spent in total over $6,000 for $54,000. Now, why didn't he finish the job?
Because he wanted more money, and I just felt like I had already overspent, and I discovered that my receipts, when he relinquished them to me on the 18th of November, that many other purchases were made that were nothing to do with making a roof for me.
Like what? You have those receipts?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at them. And have you marked those things that had nothing to do with roofing materials?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Highlight it. You got that?
Mm-hmm. Now, how far along is the roof to being finished?
Well, the roof is finished, but it's had to be patched. It's leaked a couple of times since
well,
then.
that's a different story. So
Okay.
he finished the roof.
But
just a second. So he finished the roof, is my question. You have an answer for that? He finished the roof. You said, well, he finished the roof, but I've had several leaks. Are you not following me, Miss Borges?
Well, there was more that was supposed to be done besides the roof. That the job is incomplete, which I have pictures of.
What else was he supposed to do?
The facial boards around the house.
What are the facial boards?
It goes on the front part and it's supposed to come down where potentially...
have a written contract with him.
He provided me with this.
Which is what?
I guess just a
written contract.
A rough draft of what to expect with the job.
Okay, I'd like to... And he wrote that?
Yes.
That's his handwriting. I'd like to see
I guess, or his wife's one. They done it on a Saturday out in front of the house, and I just told him we weren't going to do it again on Saturday. We needed a day of rest.
Okay, well, who wrote this?
I believe I did.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
I rough drafted, she finishes it.
Job description to remove all of the old roofing, which you did.
Yes, ma'am.
Including gaskets, vents, rework skylights, which you did.
Yes.
Repair all facial boards and put up gutters.
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes. We had run the facial boards all the way around, and then she changed it. So I had to go back and pull them down to satisfy what she wanted.
What do you mean?
We use a 1/2 inch by 5 inch facial board, which is a protective layer for that to keep it from moisture from getting in underneath it and getting in back in behind the wall and making it mildew. She wanted to change down to a 1/2 inch. So we had to go back and pull all that stuff down and rechange it.
Did you pull it down?
We pulled it all down except for one.
Except for one what?
One area where she stopped us from working at it.
Okay, so you pulled it all down, and you...
It's one area that goes down the back and up the other side, halfway up the other side.
So a large area.
We have pictures of it.
A large area.
Something take about a day to do.
Okay. Well, the projected labor costs were $4,000. That's what it says here.
Yes.
Who wrote that?
They did.
They did, so that you had that information,
yes,
that the labor costs were going to be $4,000, and you paid them $3,000. Okay.
And may I say, I never discussed the materials with him because I'm not knowledgeable that way. I know what I know now because I've spent so much time with the folks at Lowe's to know that he used exterior plywood on my roof instead of roofing material.
Ms. Borges, you had an estimate for $5,400 and another estimate for $5,200. Both of those estimates were less than what he was suggesting to you.
Yes.
Both of them were less because he said, my labor alone is going to be $4,000. The materials, forget the materials because they were over $3,000. You were paying him $7,000 to do a job that you had gotten a quote for $5,200. You want to explain to me why you did that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Ma'am.
I've never seen him work on a floor in my life.
Well.
But I've seen him do concrete.
That's a floor.
Concrete isn't a roof.
And later today.
What are you showing me here?
Somebody had spray painted on it and a character in the next picture with basically my goatee and it looking like a impolite picture.
How old are your boys?
20, 16, and 14.
Well, ask them.
I did, and they had no idea what it was about.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Deborah Borges says Philip Harris completely botched a roofing job at her home. Philip is countersuing for unpaid wages and for the return of his tools and equipment.
Go ahead.
Because, for one thing, that paper was forthcoming well into the job. The receipts were withheld, and I didn't get them until the 18th.
Now, you want to tell me why you stopped him from finishing the job?
I didn't stop him. He quit coming. We had
he
met
quit coming because he had no more money to pay for his labor. He said he wanted more money.
The job was not being done the way we discussed it. The facial boards that was going up, they were supposed to be primed and painted before they went up, and they did not. And here the pictures clearly
I'd
show.
like to see the pictures. Mr. Harris, do you have any
Yes, ma'am.
reason that you could do more than any of the two estimates that she got?
First off, Judge.
Not first off, Mr. Harris.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to answer my question, sir?
Yes.
She had two other estimates, she told you, $5,200 and $5,400. Why would she sign on with you to do the job for 50% more than that?
You would have to ask her that. But I've been in business a little over 30-some years.
How many roofs have you done?
Probably 20. I'm a production worker for floors.
So this is not your main source of business?
That's right.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I don't understand why you hired him.
When I asked him, had he done some other roofs and
Yes,
stuff,
I just asked him the same
he
question. He
wouldn't
said, I've done...
give me no addresses where I could ride by and go see.
Your Honor, the whole thing was for my kids.
Well, so what does that have to do with this case?
That's the whole reason why she paid him instead of getting anyone else, and it was
Why?
supposed to be cheaper.
But it wasn't cheaper. She knew it wasn't going to be cheaper.
Right. Well,
she knew it
didn't
wasn't
know-
cheaper.
She didn't know until...
And not only didn't she know it wasn't cheaper, but you know he's not a roof man, he's a floor man.
I've never seen him work on a floor in my life.
Well.
But I've seen him do concrete.
That's a floor.
Concrete isn't a roof.
Yes.
But he assured me he had done plenty.
He did 20,
And
but that's
we
not
just
his
made
thing.
so many trips, it got to be ridiculous.
Mr. Harris, how much will it cost to finish the job?
If I finish it myself, I could do it in a day, and it would probably cost about $300.
Very good. You're going to finish it in a day.
Just she didn't want us to finish. She ordered us off the property.
She's not getting $5,000 to put on a new roof. Either you want him to finish it for the day, and I will give you not only the $300, but I'll give you $500 to make sure he covers all the nails and everything else that will put this place in perfect order. He says he can do it in a day. Do you want him to do it in a day or not?
I do not want him
Then
there,
I'm dismissing
period.
your case. Do you
Thank you.
understand?
Thank you.
You understand?
Amen.
That's all. Your counterclaim likewise is dismissed. That's all.
Why does that excuse me? Step out.
It was an effort to become a family and unite, and we divided.
It was not about a roof at all. It's about that young man right there and the young lady you just spoke to.
It's in God's hands now.
Amen.
Yes.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Noggle versus Job. Step forward.
James Noggle is suing his former tenant, Christina Job, for damaging his rental home.
Mr. Noggle, you met the defendant according to your complaint at a gym, and you became friends. According to your complaint, you became aware that she needed a place to live and to buy a house situation with her.
I have a rental property type of business where I've bought and purchased homes, and as pay might be available, I would buy another home, and I was in the market for a home at the same time that Christina was looking for a place to live. And at that point, we decided that she was looking for a house and I was going to buy the house with the intentions of her buying it later.
At a fixed price. Now, you bought the house for how much?
$110,000.
And she was going to rent to buy from you.
With the intent to buy. And I have a lease that says that on the 4th page.
May I see it?
Yes, ma'am. There's actually 4 leases on here for things we might talk about later. One is the first lease that she has signed. It was actually required by my bank, Wells Fargo, to not only have a lease, but have the checks written physically for a deposit check, a pet deposit check that's actually in there too.
All I want to know is, you both acknowledge that the original idea was for you to purchase the house and you were going to rent to buy it.
Correct, ma'am.
I'm going to hold on to these papers because they may be relevant in a minute. Your case, sir, is that when she moved out of the premises because she no longer wanted to rent to buy, there was substantial damage in the apartment. That's what your whole case is. It's relatively simple. So she owes you for damage. What are you showing me here? That there's writing on the brick?
Somebody had spray painted on it and a character in the next picture with basically my goatee and it looking like a impolite and inappropriate picture.
What'd you do that for?
I did not.
Who did it?
I have no idea.
Who moved into the house with you?
Just me and my 3 boys.
How old are your boys?
20, 16, and 14.
Well, ask them.
I did, and they had no idea what it was about.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't care about anything else.
The dogs ripped up the entire basement. I mean, it's got to be repainted, and I have to go in there and physically fix it all? That's really not fair. When it's a brand new house, really renovated.
She's not redoing your whole house.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
James Noggles owes for damage to his rental home. Christina is countersuing for the value of 2 checks and harassment.
Okay, these are all the basement pictures, is that right?
Yes, that's actually where the dogs had pulled out the mortar.
What is this?
She had cut into the basement tile a vent for the dryer to go out.
And what's this?
An outlet that was pushed back into the wall itself. Every wall in the house had damages on it, and the house was brand new.
To just do it, you know, like when you move, you know, you bump the walls and stuff. So I went to get paint to just cover that so it did look perfect. And when we matched the paint, it looked good on the wall, but when I painted, it didn't. And I have text messages that show that I said I would fix that because I was trying to get out in the time that he wanted me out.
You can't fix this. It has to be repainted.
Right.
Okay. How many rooms are in the house?
3 bedrooms.
Is this a bedroom?
One of them in the hallway.
Did you touch up in all the bedrooms?
Yeah.
Well, then it all has to be repainted.
Right.
Okay, good. Fine. Do you have an estimate for repainting the
Yes,
house?
ma'am. It's with the
How
receipts.
much?
$1,470.
Reasonable, $1,470. Perfect. Now, you have a counterclaim. And your counterclaim is, I don't care about anything else. I don't care about anything
There's
else.
still damages that haven't been fixed.
I don't care about anything else here. If she vented the dryer, you don't like the way she vented the dryer, revent it.
The dogs ripped up the entire basement. I mean, it's got to be repainted, and I have to go in there and physically fix it all? That's really not fair. When it's a brand new house, really renovated.
How much is security deposit did you have from her?
$1,650, but it was in 2 checks.
Did you return it to her?
No, ma'am.
So you have $1,650. So you have more than enough to paint and some money left over for a couple $100 to clean up.
But there's mortar to be done and physically
No,
fixing it.
She's not redoing your whole house.
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you have a counterclaim. You say that he cashed 2 checks.
Yes, ma'am.
Which 2 checks? Is that the $1,650 that he's talking about?
Yes.
Your counterclaim's dismissed. You left the house a mess, and he's got to repaint it, unless you paid him to paint and redo what clearly you're responsible for.
Yes, I offered to do that, and he refused to let me.
Well, now you're going to do it. So now he's cashed the checks.
Part of my counterclaim is his harassment throughout this whole thing, or I'd still be there.
Listen, you know what's harassing me? This case is harassing me. What he did was something nice for you.
No, actually he didn't. It was, I had to go on medication, and I had to do everything because of all the stress and him following me around, coming to my house, and then coming to when I played softball, when we do anything, when we go to work out, he wasn't invited.
Get over it, Miss Job. You got your money, sir. $1,650 is what you got from her. Fix up your house. That's all.
Parties excused, you may step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Had you ever seen him abusing a client?
Yeah, I saw him abuse a client before.
Special needs patients in danger?
I said, you hit my client in the face. He's like, no, I hit him in the head. He had a fractured skull.
Judge Judy.
Coming up next on Cairo 7.
If asking her,
I rent on time, and the house wasn't trashed.
did I contact her new landlord? When they asked for a recommendation, yes, I did.
When he called my landlord called me and said, you need to be careful because he's obsessed with you.
And I was trying to help somebody. It just didn't work out that way.
He lies, and he just tells a lot of stories to make himself look good.
I asked Mr. DePina if he wanted to borrow our car. I said, do you have a driver's license? He said, yeah, no problem.
Her in-law is in trouble.
He got pulled over after you gave him the keys to your car. What'd you get pulled over for?
I was going through a red light.
And nothing can stop this illegal driver.
What kind of license did you have?
To be perfectly honest, I had no license.
Oh, well, then you lied to me in your answer.
No, I didn't lie.
What, do you make these things up?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Tanya Sanders is suing her cousin, Michael DePina, for impound fees and lost wages after he was pulled over while driving her car without a license.
Order. All rise. Tina. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Sanders, the defendant is your nephew. Is he your sister's son or your brother's son?
Actually, Your Honor, he's my cousin by marriage.
And how long have you been married?
I've been married for 2 years, but we've been together for 14.
So that you know him for 14 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where was he working before you asked him to cover for your business?
He was not working for me, Your Honor. He was working for King's Appliances.
So he was working for someone else?
Yes, but I share a store with King's Appliances. My business and their business are in the same building, and I manage King's Appliances.
You manage King's Appliances as an employee?
As a favor for the store space for my store, Your Honor.
What did he do at King's Appliance?
He was their delivery driver, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, there came a time when you had to leave your business, according to what I read. When was that and what for?
Yes, Your Honor. On September 25th, my 9-year-old son had to have emergency surgery. We're a small business. We couldn't afford employees, nor does it help business to be closed. Due to the fact that King's Appliances and my store were in the same space.
What kind of business do you have?
I had a furniture and consignment store.
Mm-hmm.
I asked Mr. DePina if he wanted to borrow our car to get to and from work and at the same time look over our store. Look after it, continue to generate an income by being able to get to and from work, and it would help us because...
Well, how was he getting to and from work before?
He would take King's Appliances work truck.
So he had a way to get to and from work?
If he took their truck, but at this moment, they had taken the truck back to their other store.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. First off, I've worked her for about a good month, and I would ride with her to work. And I was hired by her to be her driver for a consignment shop. Yes, ma'am.
Were you a driver for King's Appliances?
Yes, ma'am.
And how were you getting to and from work?
I would occasionally take the bus, or however I would ride with her. Usually with her, for the most part.
She'd pick you up at your house?
I would walk to her house, because I lived up the street about a good 2 blocks.
How long did you do that?
To be honest, about a month, month and a half. I can't be exactly sure, but about a month, month and a half.
Okay. On what date did you turn over the keys to your car to the defendant?
September 24th.
Mr. DePina, had you ever driven the plaintiff's car with her in it?
Yes, to be honest, I have.
Before September 24th.
Mm-hmm.
Did you help her make deliveries?
Yes, ma'am.
And for how long did you help her make deliveries?
About a month, month and a half.
Were they furniture deliveries?
It was furniture and also appliances, because as I said, I worked for the other part of the store, since it was 2 consignment and appliances.
I'm just talking about, well, appliances were King Appliances.
Okay.
She's furniture and consignment.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make what?
The furniture deliveries were with me, not in my car, not as an employee.
Just a second. The furniture deliveries, you were there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. How did you make the deliveries?
In King's Appliances truck.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And when you made the deliveries in King's Appliance truck, were you driving or was the plaintiff driving?
I was driving, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Ms. Sanders?
Yes, because he had been hired by them.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor, it's correct.
I mean, I'm asking you all these questions because I doubted the first line of your complaint. And the first line in your complaint said, I asked him point blank if he had a license, and he said yes. Well, if you had been with him while he was driving King Appliance truck and making delivery for King's and making delivery of your own furniture, it didn't sound right that you would say to your nephew, do you have a driver's license? One assumes that they have a driver's license if they're driving a truck and are employed by an appliance store, because this is what the case is about. He got pulled over at some point after you gave him the keys to your car. He was doing something for you, or at least consistent with your agreement with him. The car was impounded because he didn't have...
Your Honor, if I may.
Just a second. I'm just indicating that's what the case is about. So the car was impounded, and you want him to pay the impound fees and all the other fees attached to that, and also loss of business, which you're not going to get. He says you knew all about his restricted license. He had a restrictive license. I don't even know if that's true or not. Probably not. You're shaking your head no. I would not think that that would be a subject that would come up in conversation. I've been around on this earth for decades, and I've never asked anyone if they had, do you have a restricted license? If I see them driving a car, I assume they have a license. If I see them driving a truck, I assume that they have an appropriate license. What?
When I asked him if he had a driver's license, the reason I asked that question was initially when King's Appliance was interested in hiring him as a delivery driver. I had approached him with the opportunity, and I said, do you have a driver's license? King's would like to hire you as their delivery guy. He said, yeah, no problem. So when it came upon time in our emergency situation, to ask him for assistance and help. Of course, I didn't ask him again. I had already been informed that he did.
What kind of license did you have?
To be perfectly honest, I had no license.
Oh, well, then you lied to me in your answer.
No, I didn't lie. I said I believed I had a restriction at the... She just assumed that we had one.
I didn't assume anything.
And then as a...
Listen, Mr. Tapina.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to read you the first sentence of what you wrote here in the answer. The first sentence is, got a call from Tanya saying she needed me to cover her furniture store because her son was going to surgery. I told her I had a restricted license that only allowed me to go to and from work. She was fine with that because she was in a jam. What do you make these things up? That's what you wrote.
Yeah, no, I had told her because it was an opportunity, and I was just trying to help her out. So her son needed surgery with his family. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what you wrote. You said, I told her I had a restricted license.
Well, when she asked me, I probably said it because I assumed at that moment I was going through things. I thought I had a restriction, and I came to find out later as I got pulled over, I had it suspended.
Listen, Tapina, I don't believe she asked you if you had a license or not. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now, did you get pulled over?
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you get pulled over for?
I was going through a red light.
Oh, well. Police officer didn't look in the car and say, I guess Mr. Tapina doesn't have a driver's license. You went through a red light.
Yeah.
So police officer was pulling you over because he was going to give you a citation.
Yes, ma'am.
He or she was going to give you a citation. And then the police officer said, can I see license and registration on the car?
Yeah, I told him I didn't have one. I think I'm under restriction, and they let me go. And I called her immediately and told her, hey, this is the situation. I said, you know.
What? This was in September. What was the nature of your suspension?
I had a DUI about a while back and just never took care of it.
Do you have a driver's license now?
No, I do not.
Why not?
I'm working on it. Life's hectic now. I don't even, I'm trying to get it together, but...
Who are you working for now?
Right now I'm doing off and on jobs, doing construction here and there. I got a couple buddies. I bounce around. Whatever's convenient. I'm also an artist, so...
Well, Mr. Tapina.
Yes, ma'am.
The only issue that I have is, A, I don't believe the nonsense about do you have a driver's license because she's known you for 14 years. I wouldn't ask that question of my nephew. Even my nephew, by marriage, if I saw him driving a truck, driving a car, I would assume that they had a driver's license, or I would know that they didn't, but I assume she didn't know that you didn't have a license because even you say, I thought I had a license that allowed me to drive to and from work, which is a lot of baloney. So when you got pulled over, you didn't have a license, and they put her car in impound. On what date?
That was the same day, yeah, she has the answer.
I have the date, Your Honor.
What's the date?
The date was September 27th. And when he was pulled over, he then came to my home, presented me with this document.
May I see it, please?
And proceeded to tell me the officer told him I could pick up the car on Monday, which was not the case, Your Honor. I was then allowed to do a phone interview with you and see if the car is validated to be impounded.
Well, I would like to see the checks that you wrote to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get your car out.
The receipts are taped to the bottom.
Thank you.
You're welcome. He also presented me with this, Your Honor. This, I assume, is from the officer, but never presented me with a ticket for running the red light.
Where is your car now?
It's at home, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Tapina has been gainfully employed through family members all this time, and we found out that he does have income. My husband and I did not require large sums of money from him, Your Honor. We would have been happy with $20, $50 here and there. He was family, but at no point did he ever try to reconcile this with us. As well as, Your Honor, it caused a major financial hardship on my family, and he also changed his phone number 3 different times. Each time my husband tried to reach him, we couldn't get a hold of him.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told her the friend could no longer come to my home.
The reason why I told her that was because the police came to my house and they searched the whole house due to the fact that...
Was anybody arrested?
Real people. Judge Judy.
Tanya Sanders says her cousin, Michael Tapina, owes for impound fees and lost wages.
Mr. Tapina, you're not supposed to drive a car unless you have a license. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
If you get a DUI, which I don't know if that story is true, it's just something you're making up very quickly, like you made up your answer. If you get a DUI, you're supposed to take care of it. So Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,438. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think in this case, the truth prevailed. It's just that simple.
I was just trying to do a solid favor for a family member.
We would have never treated our family like that.
Hey, this is how it turns out. This is what I get.
I understand that things happen.
And she tries to say I didn't make contact. I contacted him several times.
But he could have came through and financially recompensated us for his mistake.
It was like voicemails. I didn't get contacted back.
We're estranged now. We don't talk anymore.
Hey, it is what it is. I'm just here. If they want to reach out, they can reach out.
Don't do business with family.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Navarro versus Rodriguez. Step forward.
Luz Navarro is suing her former tenant, 22-year-old Leonela Rodriguez, for unpaid rent, property damage, and cleaning fees.
Ms. Navarro, you rented an apartment that is attached to your house to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am. I'm 14.
May I see the lease, please?
Yes, this was from
It
July.
is your claim that she broke the lease, moved out 3 months early. You want 3 months' rent, and you claim that she damaged the property.
Yes, ma'am.
And that you want her to pay for the damages that she caused to the property.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that you evicted her from the property. She doesn't actually address the damage, which I assume you'll show me.
Yes, I have a video.
So what I'm going to do first is start with what I consider the easy part, which is the rent.
Okay.
It's clear to me that there came a time when you became dissatisfied with Miss Rodriguez as a tenant.
Yes.
And you became dissatisfied with her as a tenant because she had her boyfriend living with her, they would fight, and then she had a friend over the house. You didn't like the friend, and at some point you told her that the friend could not come to the house anymore.
No.
Well, that's what you say in your complaint.
Oh, well, the friend was because he was staying there. So, okay, I'm sorry.
You said, I told her the friend could no longer come to my home.
Yes.
But it's not your home, it's her home.
Yes.
The friend wasn't coming to your home, the friend was coming to her home.
The reason why I told her that was because the police came due to the fact that...
You can't tell me.
Okay.
Was anybody arrested?
They weren't arrested because they couldn't
question
find
is,
anything.
was anybody
No,
arrested? Okay, so you can't tell her who she can have in her house.
Okay.
She pays the rent, she's a tenant. So that's what she sort of says. She says you gave her a 30-day notice, but it's more of a constructive eviction. Since you told her that that person cannot come to visit her home, not your home, her home, she moved out. It was all at about the same time. That's what you say in your complaint, right?
But there was other stuff that was pertaining to that as well.
You want to tell me what?
After a while, she moved her other boyfriend in. She wanted to put him on the lease, which I did, and we did the lease and everything. Then her boyfriend and her daughter's father were always arguing. There was always fights there.
So you're happy she left? You know? Just a second.
Yes.
So my question is...
Now, yes, because now it's quiet in my house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
As you can see, the sink wasn't like that. She never cleaned it.
Well, that's
As you
mold.
can see, the roaches. I didn't have roaches before, now I do.
Didn't anybody clean this house?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Luz Navarro says, former tenant Leon, her rental property damaged and dirty.
You can't sue her for the rent. If you restricted, who she could have in her house, that is a constructive eviction of her. So she's not going to pay you for the rent when she wasn't living there because you, in effect, told her to leave. You said you can't stay here and have this guy come stay in the house. You can't do that.
Not with the David. David left there.
I don't care. Whoever it was.
Okay, but that I felt
she's
threatened.
Not paying.
I felt threatened by that
then you should be very happy she's gone.
I am happy that she's gone,
Good.
but she was.
Good.
It was
she's
threatening.
Not paying you rent.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry.
She's not paying you rent.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so now let's get to what it's all about, which is the damages that are to the house. How much security deposit did she give you?
She didn't give me anything. $25.
So there was no security deposit?
$25.
Well, that's something. Okay. That's $25. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Okay. Do you have pictures of the house before you rented it to her?
I don't have the pictures, but the way she left it, yes, I have
just
a video.
asked you.
Let's
go back.
No, I don't.
Do you have pictures of the way the house looked before?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you have pictures afterwards?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at them.
I have a video. It's on a video.
I'll take a look at it.
Okay. Here it goes, sir. That's the bathroom. As you can see, there's the shower curtain, how she left it. The sink wasn't like that. She never cleaned it.
Well, that's
As you
mold.
can see. Yes.
Shh,
Sorry.
that's mold.
Mm-hmm. That's the closet door. It was knocked out. Holes on the wall. As you can see, you could put the finger right through.
I was there when I moved.
The roaches. I didn't have roaches before. Now I do. That's everything that she left there. She didn't even take anything or clean up. I had to hire somebody to clean that up.
Do you have a bill for that?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
The statement and the price there. I got someone that removed everything and cleaned whatever he could clean
Mr.
there.
Garcia?
Yes.
Who is that?
It was a man that comes and he does stuff around.
Well, you're certainly entitled to $125 to clean up all that stuff,
And
if
I
that's
also
all.
have
If
a
that's all it is.
statement of the repairs from a contractor that I got, too.
Now I'd like to see those. That's certainly a modest bill for cleanup of that stuff. I didn't see all this damage.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I didn't see a French door. Is there a French door
Yeah,
there?
that's the front door where you go out.
I didn't see it damaged on the video.
Well, I guess what they're talking about, the French door, I guess is the closet. I don't know.
No, well, you have repair closet door, a different
Okay.
amount.
All right.
However, I must tell you, Miss Rodriguez, that considering the way this house was left, the $1,000 that she's asking for to clean up the mess, including the mold, which actually, as soon as you see it, you spray a little Clorox on it and it goes away. And you could have done that.
Yes, ma'am.
Didn't anybody clean this house?
No, I wasn't aware due to the fact that the last day, which was
mold. Mold.
Yeah, I did clean.
Well, then how does it?
I moved the premises. I left the premises. I never came back due to the fact that my life and my daughter's was threatened by these two and her boyfriend named Alex and his friend. He had a gray Nissan, which I don't know him, but I was threatened by them the last day, so I didn't bother in coming back.
Okay.
And I didn't want no problems.
That's
I really
a lie.
didn't want no
The only
problems.
problems you're going to have is to take care of what you left behind. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Last day, they came all towards me and attacking me.
The stuff that she's saying about my son and us threatening her.
And I didn't have no backup while she did.
That's a lie.
What I did, never come back to the premises.
The one that was staying there, yes, because he was trafficking drugs.
No, negative.
When the cops come to your house knocking on